McClunky.
Good morning, everyone. They are just getting a repairing going on at the SWU battle at BIATL by Cards HQ. The 6K for Pool 1. We're going to be starting with round 5 this morning. We did have some players drop after yesterday, so they're just going to get repaired and everyone's going to get seated. And then we'll begin. Had some really great matches yesterday. A lot of awesome plays and pretty clean plays as well. So excited to see what we get on stream today. We had a decent variety despite the fear of a Django dominant meta. We did see the deck actually on stream lose to Piet Blue. We also had classic Han Yellow take down that same Piet player a little bit later on in the event. So yeah, we also saw Sabine Cunning put on a dominant performance against Sabine ECO. So hopefully we'll get some more exciting matches. I'm Pasquale here with McClunky Gaming down in Atlanta. We'll have coverage all day today of Pool 1 going to round 7, and then we'll also have Pool 2 a little bit later on, which should be another 7 rounds for Pool 2. There's close to 128 players, I think, in that pool already. So still time, I guess, for that to sell out. But I know it was pretty close to 128 if it's not already. Good morning. Hi, Fabs. Welcome in, welcome in. Got some coffee here, ready to start the day. And I did see that there was nearly 600 players at the first sector qualifier in Milan this morning, so that's pretty exciting. Wasn't sure what to expect for that over in Italy. Their turnouts were pretty low overall for their planetary qualifiers last set. So, awesome to see that a lot of Europeans made the trek to Milan, and excited to see how that event shakes out as well this weekend. Great weekend for Star Wars Unlimited. But yeah, if you're just joining in as we get settled, again, this is day 2 of the battle at BIATL, hosted by CardsHQ. We are just getting a little bit of a repairing going on, and then we will get started with the 5th round of Pool 1 of this big event here, hosted by the Bantha Network. Looks like we do have pairings out to the players, so they're going to get seated. Pepper Pawnee, yeah, this, Rebel Resource piloted that deck to perfection yesterday, winning very, very quickly with 30 damage on 4 resources. We saw them sneak attack a wing leader to buff Sabine, swinging in for the last bit of damage, which was very cool. And then the interview shed some light on the matchup and kind of alluded to some of the points that I was making, that after losing game 1 quickly as Sabine ECL, I was surprised that they didn't try to be the control and contest and use an early energy TL to combat some of the presence that Rebel Resource was putting out. Instead, they tried to go aggro, and the deck overall just is a little bit slower. It doesn't have all the spells to pump out damage. So we saw that in action at that 5 HP and all those extra events push that deck over the edge pretty quickly. And Ryan is doing well. I think they're 3-1 heading into this 5th round, so we'll see if they can continue on their winning ways. Also, shout out to Titan 1K of McClunky Gaming, 4-0 after Swiss yesterday on Django Tarkentown. I believe Titan's at table 1, so good for him. Always happy to see him doing well. All right, our players are getting seated here. As you can see, we've got Cadbane Command against a Django Tarkentown here. Gonna be interested to see if the Cad Bane player can kind of control this game to a point where they can stabilize, get a reinforcement walker down, and start chipping away at Django's base. As we begin this jump to Lightspeed meta, I'm always curious to see what set 4 cards will appear in the Cad Bane lists. They've got some pretty neat tools. Mist Hunter gives the deck a lot of longevity into control. Sidon Athano, the new 2/2 2-cost pilot that can jump onto a ship also is pretty good. Um, they also have the new Sentinel, I believe the contracted Jump Master with a quite annoying 2-4 stat line. So we'll have to see if any of those uh, make an appearance and are able to curb the feared Django Tarkentown. Interested to see if they have many main deck commandeers as well to counteract those big triple dark raid plays. All right, both players seem to be sticking with their opening hand here. Super Rider says, I like Sid because you can pilot lock ships too. That's true. You can pilot lock them and give them that permanent debuff of -2/-2. And with Cad Bane, you get that extra ping, so it even kills 3 HP units. Um, Harkentown, Django begins with a Crafty Smuggler, and the response is Bazine. We're looking at a Prestige IG 2000, Genosis Patrol Fighter, and a Daring Raid. And the Genosis is the choice to discard here. I believe Django picked up an ISB agent. Sabine pings off the shield. Early draw of a Devastator we're seeing for Django, probably hitting the row here, and yeah, it looks like that's the resource choice. The damage is beginning early. Oh, but a big. Now there are two of them into Zuckuss. That is a huge play. With the ping, that Bazine's going to be able to clear the Crafty Smuggler and create big problems for Django. But the ISB with Daring Raid, that's going to be able to fully deal with the Zuckuss thanks to Tarkentown. So could be worse, but that's a lot of resources invested for Django. But heavy ground presence now with the Stormtrooper. But that Bazine is putting in work, about to take out that Stormtrooper as well, I can only imagine. So, all things considered, this is pretty good for Cad Bane. Heading into 4 resources, only 2 damage on your base, and you're able to trade the most menacing unit that your opponent has. Brandon here of McClunky Gaming. I have played them at a PQ. Very, very skilled player. Was also on this Cad Green when I played them at Hex and Company in New York City. We are seeing immediate 4-LOM answering the ISB, Cad Bane clearing the Stormtrooper. And now IG-2000 comes in, killing the Sabine, dealing an extra damage to 4-LOM. Play is moving rapidly here. But heading into Django Flip, again, with only 2 damage on your 30 HP base, you're feeling pretty good if you're Brandon. Harkentown's already used. Your opponent's down to just a handful of cards. Was that 2 cards left? And before that 4-LOM gets exhausted, it's gonna take that 4 damage right into the base. As we can see, Brandon's hand, Jeff's hand, it's not very good. I think that's an ISB agent and a Ruthless Raider. Oh, McClunky bouncing 4-LOM with the Cad Bane ping actually fully defeats this ISB agent. 4-LOM coming down to crash into Django for 4 and living. Oh, it was a P-38, not an ISB. Okay. That's a little bit better. If that was an ISB agent, I think he was in a lot of trouble. But as we see, there is a Syndicate Lackeys. that can fully deal with Django here. It's also the option. He has Bosk as well. Lots of ambush here. I think he's debating on flipping Cad Bane here so that the ambush can kill Django and then Cad Bane can kill the P-38 with the 2 damage ping here. Ruthless Raider comes down, exhausting Cad Bane. And exactly as I suspected here, that was the plan for Brandon. Ambushing Bosk. And 2 damage now goes on the Raider instead. So that extra unit prevents the P-38 from dying. But with Django down, there's no more full field exhaustion. Is that Brandon's fingertips here. And we do see a big maul picked up. Not going to help lock up space, but can press an immense amount of damage heading into 7 resources here. 13 damage on the base for Cad Bane. 4 for Django. Finally, a brief pause in the rapid fire gameplay here. I wonder if there's a hotshot blaster that is being mulled over by Brandon here. Cad Bane and Bosk both hit for 4, so it's a question of what do you want to do first? Looks like it's going to be Cad Bane, bringing the life total to 8 for Jeff. And it looks like a daring raid. Yep, daring raid, completely wiping out Bosk. So we'll see. Yeah, and there's just the maul fully tapping out. Brandon says, "I can erase you." Four more damage into the base. 16 now, 17 now for Cad Bane. A full 20 with that P-38. And a Kylos TIE Silencer. Ooh, and a 7 Fleet Defender. All right, so Lethal is on board for Django. But double Sentinel picked up for Brandon here. That might be enough if they don't have a triple Dark Raid to actually stall the game enough for Cad to come back into this one. Eight damage for Jeff. Maul's going to swing in for 7, bringing him up to 15. Both players have 10 HP left on their base. Jeff's probably looking for a pump here to win in 2 actions. Surprise strike on the Ruthless Raider makes any of those other 3 attack ships lethal. Instead, going with the Kylos TIE first. Now, if you're Brandon, you do have to think about that surprise strike. So, while tempted, he's got to think about it. He was about to just rip an attack with Cad Bane, but you lose the surprise strike. I think you have to play a Sentinel, and he's made the right choice. Playing that, as I mentioned earlier, from Jump to Lightspeed, contracted Jump Master 2/4 Sentinel. Cad Bane trigger defeats the already exhausted Kylos TIE Silencer. Another pause in the action here, Jeff. Probably mulling over what's best to do. And they are going to trade their Ruthless Raider for the Jump Master, exhausting Cad Bane with the death trigger, but another Sentinel hits the board. This 4 HP is massive. All right. And we're seeing P38 with their when defeated trigger now trading into the 4 HP. Wow. That is so unexpected. Smuggled in, I believe that's armed to the teeth. Yep. From Shadows of the Galaxy. What a tech. Definitely did not see that coming to end the game there. If you're unfamiliar, Armed to the Teeth from Shadows of the Galaxy is a smuggle upgrade that can be put on anything. It gives +2/+0 on attack, get to give another friendly unit +2/+0 for the phase. Smuggled onto the 7th Fleet Defender, hitting for 5 to end the game there. Smuggles in for a cost of 4. Really clutched there by Brandon. Or Jeff, rather. Jeez.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome in, Tower number 9. You just
Yeah,
missed a crazy end to that first game there.
yeah, it is 5:22 a.m. in the morning for me here. Sorry for missing the start of the stream in this match, but I am here now. So let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I think we all can empathize with the very early rise you've had this morning. But that was a very unexpected smuggle finish there by Jeff.
Yeah, Smuggle, I think earlier, in yesterday's stream, I was talking about how I'll be happy to see Overwhelming Barrage rotate out. Conversely, I'm not going to be very happy to see Smuggle rotate out. I think Smuggle is probably one of my favorite of the mechanics that was introduced in later sets. I think it's really cool. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely get it. It's such a I think it was such an exciting announcement when they said they were already doing that for the second set of the game. But unfortunately, maybe they feel like it's a little too finicky or whatever. But definitely a little disappointed that it hasn't gotten more support and may not for the foreseeable future until it's rotated out. But definitely an awesome mechanic.
Yeah, now, I do have a friend who thought that Smuggle was an overly complicated mechanic to implement that early in the game. And yeah, that may be, but I personally really like it. And when I'm playing a deck that doesn't have a lot of smuggle, I feel like I feel like there's something missing.
Yeah. As a Han Cunning player, you feel a little bit naked if you don't have your smuggle in other decks. But yeah, I agree. It's gonna be sad if that way, but I do understand complex nature of it for new players and also in tournaments kind of dealing with resources and stuff can get tricky sometimes.
Yeah. One other thing I'll say, another new mechanic that I quite like is the existence of token units. I think there's a lot of design space there, and they've already brought those back in set 4. So that isn't a mechanic that's going to rotate out once the first year goes, and maybe we'll see some future smuggle stuff, or maybe we'll see some even better mechanics in the future. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think the token implementation in Jump to Lightspeed definitely a little bit better than the attempt in Twilight with exploiting coordinate, in my opinion. But I was talking yesterday with some friends about drafting, and actually, I think if you were to draft kind of set one, like one pack of set 1, one pack of set 3, and one of set 4, I think you'd actually have a really good time because I think the set 3 and 4 mechanics kind of work well together, and set 1 being kind of a blanket set might actually be
Hmm.
an interesting look into multi-set drafting.
Yeah, I've heard of, I think some people have referred to this as chaos drafting,
Ah,
where you have, 1 pack from multiple sets. I think some of the intended synergies don't necessarily come out as much, but there's a lot of maybe unintended stuff that you can bring in, and, could be quite interesting.
yeah, for
I think we're
sure.
seeing Brandon, mulligan here while Jeff already has his resources, set up.
Yeah, I wonder if that's looking for a specific card he sided in, or just unhappy with maybe no turn one plays. We'll have to see. Definitely thought Brandon was in the driver's seat for a while there, but then multiple space units hit the board in one turn, and that's sometimes just enough for Django to get over the line there.
Yeah. Let's see how Brandon can do against Django in game 2. We were talking about this yesterday, but I do think a lot of people have the sense that Django is the deck to beat. Um, on the other hand, we have seen some people do just that and beat Django on stream yesterday. So let's see how it goes.
Yep. Yeah, I think Brandon's maybe biggest issue last game was missing an overwhelming barrage.
Hmm.
So hopefully they can find one this to curb some of those 2 HP space unit aggression there. But Kylo's tie coming down.
Now, Kylo's tie, kind of a vulnerable unit against Cad Bane.
Yeah, we're seeing Jeff, even though Brandon gave him initiative, still play in because he wasn't afraid of the ping plus Tarkin Town. So
Yeah.
he said, I'm willing to take the 1 damage, maybe play a second unit out to absorb some more damage, so I don't get to lose my tie for free. See if that ends up being the case here.
Yeah, now looks like we might see it now. There are two of them in Brandon's hand.
Yeah, they had a big one last game, but it was answered immediately by ISB, Daring Raid, and Tarkin Town with 6
Yeah.
HP clearing that Zuckus. But we'll see if Jeff has the answers for it this time too.
I think I've seen a Bosk, a Commandeer. Ooh, now there are two of them not going to be going off there. Although that Kylo's tie never getting a chance to attack. I don't
Yeah.
I don't really like this play for Jeff. I think Brandon can just replay his crafty smuggler and put Jeff in basically the same situation where he has a 3-2 with 1 damage on it.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Very strange to just kind of replace your stats. But maybe after game one, they also feared that now there are two of them. So he said, okay, I'll just set us both behind a turn. But
Yeah,
definitely
also
surprised.
possible Jeff's hand just wasn't very good, so that was like, delaying things like that was better than potentially just getting his silencer pinged off.
Yeah, plus a huge unit, with the potential of now there are two of them.
Yeah.
All right,
Looks
we're
like
seeing
Brandon's
Bosk.
resourcing that Bosk.
Yeah.
IG 2000, but because the crafty smuggler is shielded, the shield gets knocked off, but the smuggler is not exhausted.
Yeah, we're also seeing the
Ooh.
new Sit on Athano in hand, which is a very interesting pilot unit.
Yeah, absolutely. McClunky smuggler jumps back 3 damage to the IG 2000, and then Bosk exhausted for another damage. Jeff sends it to IG 2000, clearing it. And then 3 damage does get into the base, and then the smuggler is replayed. So Brandon playing kind of the control role here, playing more defensively and knocking out some of Jeff's stuff. Jeff once again is going to have to develop another unit or something in order to prevent just getting his Geonosis fighter there pinged off by CAD, but he doesn't do so. He's going to swing in for 3, and that means an underworld play from Brandon would clear that.
Yeah, and we're seeing the triple dark raid in hand heading into this Django flip turn. So I wonder if he's eyeing a big war juggernaut play, hoping Brandon plays a couple more units.
Oh man, here comes Django, but I think there can be now there are two of them for Maul.
Yep.
Yeah, there it is.
And that wipes the
So
patrol fighter as well.
right. So the Maul ambushes and kills Django in one hit, and then Cad's ability is used and it kills the patrol fighter. And to make matters worse for Jeff, Maul sends the damage from that ambush onto the crafty smuggler, so isn't even damaged for a potential Tarkin town.
Yep.
That
And
was a big
Crafty
play
still
for
had the
Brandon.
shield too, so yeah, there's full damage prevention on the side of Brandon here.
Very, very strong play. Now Jeff is going to go for the triple dark raid, one of the strongest plays in the Django deck. Let's see what he finds.
I did see a War Juggernaut, which I believe can come in to at least get them all off the board. So
Yeah,
that's
so
what's
War
gonna happen.
Juggernaut pings probably both units here.
Yep.
So
Probably
he's gonna get
himself
plus
too.
2.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it
guess he doesn't need
should
to,
well,
right? Because he just needs to get to 6 to kill the mall. So
no, he has to it's base
yeah,
3 though, right? So doesn't he have to
yeah.
ping
So
himself?
yeah, he did ping himself to get to 6. Oh, he's
Um,
okay. He's going
oh,
aggressive
no,
here.
he's going for so he's going for base damage,
Yep.
and he's gonna use Tarkin Town to clear them all.
Yep. Interesting choice here. Okay,
Yeah,
he said with
ha
wow.
he didn't have to use Tarkin Town. Now, one note, though, is that by doing it this way, the War Juggernaut that he just played is going to make it back to the hand. So Maul would have hit it for 7 in return and killed it. So maybe he did that to preserve the opportunity to play that War Juggernaut again on a future turn.
Yeah, and it now, handles the crafty with the new ping, so he felt that was fine.
Still, I think Jeff has been tripped up a bit in this game.
Yeah,
We'll
but
see
we
if he
are
can
seeing,
get more
they
pressure on
can
him.
make out one more triple dark raid in their hands, so they're
Ooh.
they're in a position to recover pretty quickly with already 12 damage on the Cad Bane base.
Yeah, triple dark raid, very, very strong card.
Yeah, I took Django to a local and did not draw triple dark raid, so the deck did not feel good at all.
Yeah, it is kind of the linchpin. All right, well, pretty simple start here. Brandon swings ahead with the crafty smuggler for 2 damage on Jeff's base. Ruthless Raider pings off the smuggler and deals 2 damage to Brandon's base. Brandon with 16 HP remaining.
I wonder if we'll see a commandeer here.
We very well could. Now, the problem with the commandeer is that it would mean that Jeff would be able to replay the Ruthless Raider and get that effect again,
Yeah.
but it would also it would get it off the field and it would be 4 damage to Jeff's base, and yeah, Brandon goes for it.
Yeah, I think you have to force him to replay it because he has the Cad Bane unit in hand to capture
Mm.
Raider next turn. So you're saving yourself 4 damage and to have the answer next turn. And with 25 HP, he's already pretty low at 12, so 13 left for Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff actually now has fewer HP remaining than Brandon does. Brandon was able to swing in with Cad himself and with that Ruthless Raider for I think 8 total damage to the base this turn, and only took 2 damage himself from the when played effect on that Ruthless Raider.
Yeah. Yeah, strong position here.
Comman Commandeer is a very interesting card. This is one that has been discussed as a counter card for Django in particular. Um, and I think one of the reasons that it's so relevant is because the biggest plays in Django's deck are often vehicles that are at that 6 cost, which is like the highest cost that you can commandeer. Django generally doesn't play pilots, and it can also be a great answer to triple dark raid or sneak attack.
I wonder what the question was there that Jeff had about Commandeer.
Yeah, not sure.
Seemed pretty straightforward, but there was some judge call.
Yeah, now
Oh,
Commandeer is a
discussing whether Ruthless goes back to hand. I wonder why they thought it wouldn't.
yeah. I wonder if there was relevant timing there about when it would happen. Yeah, it's a Commandeer is a so Commandeer is a very interesting new card. It kind of it kind of combines a change of heart type effect with a bounce, but it's more restricted in its targeting because Commandeer only works on non-leader vehicle units that cost 6 or less and do not have a pilot. However, unlike Change of Heart, you immediately ready the unit if you take control of it, and then it bounces the unit to its owner's hand afterwards. So yeah, 5 cost trick event, take control of a non-leader vehicle unit that costs 6 or less without a pilot on it. If you do, ready it, and at the start of the next regroup phase, return that unit to its owner's hand. Very interesting card.
Oh, they were clarifying. I think they were wondering about the timing of the bounce. So it's
Yeah.
so, and we are seeing, like I mentioned, that Cad Bane immediately come in to capture the Raider.
Yep.
And I think Jeff's gonna shoot for a Devastator here, if I had to guess, off this triple dark raid. That's the big hit he's hoping. That new 9/6 Devastator, when played, assign indirect damage of 4.
Yeah,
See if he
so
can
we're
hit it.
looking at 16 damage on Brandon's base right now. So he has 14 left. So Devastator would be pretty big.
Only finds the War Juggernaut, which pretty good, but not Devastator. Not the hit
Is
he was
going to
looking for.
allow him to exhaust CAD.
But
Now
we
there
do
is an
see the
overwhelming
over. Yep,
barrage.
yep. That was the card I called out the start. What was missing from Brandon's game one, he has it in game two.
Now, because Cad Bane got exhausted, if Brandon wants to fire off the barrage and clear that Devastator, he isn't going to get the benefit from the bonus stats in terms of damage on his opponent's base. But I think, ooh, that's interesting. It's going to be Bosk.
Bosk trade with the Cad Bane ping.
So the Juggernaut had, I guess, pinged itself. Is that right?
Yeah, yep. Jeff was going for extra damage, so he went down to went down in HP.
Yeah. So the way that this War Juggernaut works
Oh, we're
is
seeing the
that
third triple dark raid.
wow, man, Jeff has had some strong draws this game, but he is still not in a super dominant position.
Yeah.
Is going to get a ruthless raider here though. Throw some damage onto CAD, but I think Brandon has a potential at least soft counter with that Space Sentinel. He could bring out
The Jump
what
Master.
is that unit? Yeah, the
Contracted Jump Master.
contracted jump master.
Yep. Yeah, he has the 3 cost answer here.
Now it obviously doesn't kill the target. Oh, but he's actually going to go for a more aggressive route. Instead of bringing out a sentinel to defend against that raider, he plays a hot shot deal 44 blaster and sends CAD in for 6 damage.
Yep, that's
And
lethal
that
range now with the Cad Bane unit.
yeah, that's right. So that's actually kind of its own answer and maybe a more elegant one. If Jeff swings with the Raider, Brandon wins at the start of the next turn. So he's kind of forced Jeff to take the initiative there to try and answer CAD. I think we're probably going to see a game 3 here, Pasquale. What do you think?
I would have said yes until the Devastator was picked up with 8 resources available, so we
Ooh,
can see exhaustion of the unit and a kill of the leader now. So
but if that happens, can't Brandon just claim and win next turn?
he has to play a unit. They're both gonna. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, he with Cad Bane. You're
Yeah,
right.
like he'll
Yeah,
just he
it could delay the inevitable. Yeah, you're right.
Jeff has seen some of his deck's strongest plays this game. But Brandon is still doing strong. So
Yeah.
he does go for that route that you just pointed out. Let's see if Brandon sees the opportunity to just claim here.
I mean, he also has a world board. There's tempting plays like this happened yesterday, right? Where there were tempting plays, they took them, delayed, and then ended up kind of being delayed until they won eventually. But no,
Well, he
Brandon,
goes for it.
too
There's the
smart,
handshake.
too smart for Jeff's tricks.
All right.
But yeah, that
Well
was
played to
definitely
Brandon.
mistimed there. Those he played 3 dark raids and was looking for that devastator and found it on his next turn straw. Sometimes that's just the way it happens.
Yeah, I think Brandon had a very, very strong play with his now there are 2 of them into Maul to clear out Django and then not take any damage on Maul and use the ping to clear that space unit. That was really powerful, and Jeff felt like he was really playing from behind after that resolved.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, there is the benefit on display, I think, of sometimes pairing a popular leader with an uncommon base like Cad Bane Command, because I don't think that was on Jeff's radar as an option for now there are 2 of them, which is why he felt safe to deploy Django like that, with no other kind of protection there. Um,
Had green 30 HP is a real deck, and we've seen it being used. We've seen it being used before by McClunky Gaming, and in particular, I think that I would personally associate the deck. I would associate the deck with Zach from the McClunky Gaming team.
Yeah, Zach had took down that PQ with the deck, and Brandon actually, I know this because I had played Brandon at a PQ at Hex& Company in New York City. They basically took the list right from Zach, and kind of then
Mm.
started working on it. So I know this is probably Zach's list, um, and they have now worked on this deck together. So definitely Zach Lunky special, says Claire. So yeah, for sure. It is a very well built deck. I was able to narrowly take it down with Han Cunning, but it was a very tight 3 game set. So all too familiar with Brandon's piloting of this deck, and he is very good at it.
Yeah, and as you were saying, Pasquale, I think it's a deck that is, maybe not as commonly played a base. I think maybe people have, as you were suggesting, played against Cad Red Tarkentown a fair bit, but Cad Green 30 is, it presents some different threats.
Yeah, sometimes I mean these players are playing pretty quickly, which we love to see, but sometimes it does pay to actually take that second to think about the options that the different color combination presents. And I think maybe Jeff just didn't calculate for them all because it kind of fell out of favor.
Yeah, and I think that now there are 2 of them into Mall there is not a line available to the CAD Tarkentown build.
Exactly. And now I think both players mulliganed. So this is it. This is the they're stuck with this draw. Jeff, we are seeing a quick resource of that arm to the teeth, which came in clutch in game 1.
Armed to the Teeth is an interesting card. Another card that uses that smuggle mechanic that I'm fond of.
Yeah, I almost forget it has smuggle because it's very rarely played. Mostly seeing it in Kylo, I think, is the deck that played it the most.
Yeah, it can be a very aggro card, especially if you have multiple small units going.
Yeah, it's one of the few buffs that can be played on space units, which is its big advantage.
Yeah.
This is a tough decision here to mulligan for both players. Brandon has a resupply, which I'm sure he's eyeing, so maybe thinking I can get rid of my other 3 cost in my hand, which is the Space Sentinel, because I'm going to go for a resupply anyway. But now second guessing resupply at all, because he's thinking maybe Django's too fast to burn a turn. And that looks like the final oh no, it's such a tough choice. Do I go for the resupply or not? All right, he's giving himself both options for the turn 3 play here. for their 3 resource play. He kept the Jump Master and the resupply as opposed to ditching one. We'll see if that pays off for him. So it's a crafty smuggler met by Sidon Athano just as a 2/2 because it trades with the Cad Bane ping now. I think if you're Brandon, you're pretty comfortable with a resupply here. P38 to exhaust Sidanathano, and yeah, resupply. There's a pretty slow opening here with not the 3/2 in space. So Brandon is gonna ramp a turn ahead, uh, looking like a juicy Bosk turn as an ambush target on the 5th resource here. Maul is picked up. We'll see if he can find a now. There are 2 of them for a repeat of that game 2 blowout play.
Yeah, well, I mean, it worked great. Worked great earlier. If he can do it again here.
Yeah, for sure. A second
Ooh.
P38 now clears Sidanathano.
Now that Sidanathana is an interesting new card, and I think works especially well with CAD, thanks to the ability to use that ping.
Yep, he goes straight for the Forlom because both will die to Tarkin Town, and I think he values the Busk a little bit more with its ability to ping space units for an additional 2 with events.
Ooh, and
Is that
that's
the
an interesting
Saboteur?
card there. Yeah,
The
it's
Guavian,
2/3 Saboteur with the bounty Intimidator, I think.
yeah, Guavian Antagonizer, maybe?
Oh yeah, maybe you're right. Let's look that up.
Yeah, there. Claire has it up on stream now. The Guavian Antagonizer.
Yeah,
One
you were
cost
right.
2/3 Saboteur with the bounty of draw a card. Jeff's got some spice in this list.
Yeah, I think that I can say that the one cost 2/3 bounty draw a card unit in space is very strong. I think the Guavian Antagonizer is a little weaker than that, but it's not a joke unit at all. The problem is there is a lot of ambush available to Brandon here, and we could easily see that Antagonizer getting taken out.
Yeah, 100%. I'm a big fan of all those the Clone Deserter, I think is the other one, right? The Restore one in green. They're all pretty good. All right, we
Now,
see.
Brandon
Mhm.
deploys CAD only to get hit by the Antagonizer and exhausted. But a
Wow.
wow, barrage on a 2 power unit. You don't often see that getting a triple kill, but there we have it.
Big barrage here. Both P38s come down with their when defeateds and putting CAD up to 4 damage.
Now, if Jeff has even one more point of damage, he can take out Cad Bane here.
He's
He goes
searching
for a
for it.
triple dark raid. Can he find something that can deal some damage to Cad and then clear out Cad with Django?
With jump to light speed, it's going to be a pretty hard miss on that because you have Juggernaut, you've got IG, you've got tons of options to deal that 1 point of damage.
Yeah, he has two Devastators, but I don't think he can actually play them.
Yeah,
He
is the
does have an
IG.
IG 2000 though.
Mhm. We'll see if it takes the trade with Django here. It would put
Now
4
seeing
damage
those
on
two,
Django.
yeah. No, oh yeah, that's right, because that buff from the overwhelming barrage is still on.
Yep, yep.
So that would leave Django in a vulnerable position. He could then be cleared by a Bosk ambush. I think it would be a much easier decision to make if Brandon's CAD only had 2 power on him.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also, I
Jeff,
think Jeff's realizing he's in a bit of a tough spot with only 3 damage on the base as well.
he decides to go for it, but I did see him hesitate. Oh, and it looks like they have made an error there. They've
Yep.
only put 2 damage on Django, but it should be 4 because Django still has CAD still has the stats.
Yeah, I think
Well,
now that
maybe
they've
they
been
see it.
reminded, and now Jeff is second guessing if he wants 4 damage on his Django.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it is a big difference.
Yeah, no, it really is, especially against a deck that has a large amount of ambush. Jeff decides he's going to do it anyway, but it takes some contemplation there. And the IG 2000 swings in for 3, and then is that another Guavian Antagonizer there?
That
There's a little glare
is.
on that card.
Yep, it's a second one. He's got a lot of 1-drops in this build.
Now, I do think there was an important thing there for Jeff, which is that he saw 2 Devastators with that triple Dark Raid, and that means he now knows that 2 Devastators are on the bottom of his deck.
Yeah, that sometimes can be a big problem that only you're aware of. It often happened to me in set 1. I played a lot of Han Green, and if that Ewing reinforcement hit some big juicy targets, I knew I'm not drawing them, and the game might be out of reach.
Now we see Bosk arrive for Brandon, taking out Django Fett and Cad's Ping putting the damage on the Antagonizer. Jeff decides to hit base for 2 rather than trading here. Does leave him vulnerable to a potential event, but it looks like Brandon does not have one.
Yeah, Cartel Space was played instead, which now means space is locked up for those tiny units that Django likes to play. But
Another
IG
Ping.
2000
Is there
is a
another
little bit
Ping for
bigger.
Bosk? No, there isn't.
Nope. What's really sad for Jeff is Cad Bane is in the hand of Brandon, which can capture all 3 of Jeff's units
Yeah.
with the thanks to the ping on the Guavian.
Potentially just sweep the board. And there is some event. I don't know quite what the event is, but we could potentially have the event played for a Bosk trigger. Is it a McClunky?
It looks like a commandeer, but yeah, he's gonna steal all 3. The ping puts that Guavian at 2, which is enough because Cad Bane can capture units with up to 8 or less HP.
Brandon draws from the bounty. Bounties do go off if you capture the unit. And he draws a now there are 2 of them, which is not so relevant at this phase in the game.
Nope, he drew a free resource for next turn probably, but still, that's a huge Cad Bane play here.
So Brandon takes the initiative, and I think we might see that commandeer coming into play here to take control of the raider.
Yeah, I think you hit with the 7 first because you're gonna get to ready the raider regardless. You're not in lethal range. So I would take my swing
Yeah,
with Cad Bane and then
prevent
let him
prevent him from getting
decide.
pinged off.
Yeah, and then you let him draw or take one of the units back if he really wants to, but I think you get the damage in while the damage is good.
Yeah, that does also give you the possibility to consider new angles if Jeff does take one of his units back with the CAD trigger, as you would then get your 2 cards. Jeff doesn't want to give Brandon 2 cards for one of those small units. Just takes the 7 damage.
Yep. That's what we're seeing here.
It's kind of funny, the capture mechanic really didn't see very much competitive play in set 3 when it first came out, but or in set 2 rather when it first came out, but in set 3, Cad Bane kind of gave it new life.
Yeah, yeah. They printed a very strong capture card, but just one set later.
Yeah.
And we
All
are
right, 2
seeing
attacks
everything go
into
to
base.
base here. Yep.
Another IG 2000, this one with the prestige treatment.
Yeah, Brandon's not pretty safe for that commandeer with only 1 resource open for Jeff here.
Yeah, so he could commandeer, take the raider, and then actually send the raider into the IG 2000, or just
Yeah,
hit the base for 4.
yeah, Jeff's at 9, so base 13, Cad puts him to 20. It's a definitely consideration. I think with the surprise strike into my base, I might consider trading the unit
Yeah.
because now I'm a little low from my liking at 17.
Yeah, so Brandon has 13 HP remaining. Jeff has 16 HP remaining. What else is in hand there for Brandon? I think
2 Sidon of Thanos I'm seeing.
there's the commandeer, but he takes the IG 2000.
So he wants to
Oh, I
through the
see.
Raider. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's gonna use one of those sit on a Thanos on the Raider.
Yeah. Yeah. He's gonna ram it in, which will kill the
Yeah, because he can use
IG.
the ping with the sit on a Thano, but it's better to swing with IG first so it dies.
Yep. And with only one card left, Jeff's hand, I'm sure Brandon feels like this is the best play.
Yep, and
Let's
there's exactly that sequence. Sit on a Thano, CAD ping, clears the board completely, but the when defeated trigger is going to take out Brandon's Cartel Spacer and do 2 damage to base.
Yep. Interesting that Jeff chose not to rescue anything. He didn't want to give Brandon any more cards. Um,
Yeah, unfortunately for Jeff, Brandon had a pretty good sequence anyway.
yep, and we are seeing a War Juggernaut, so he's able to exhaust this Cad Bane one more time, but then picked up two Seven Fleet Defenders, which is not really what you want to see at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Seventh Fleet Defender is not a bad card, but it's really one that's best suited for an earlier phase in the game, especially with another sit on a Thano in Brandon's hand. All
Yeah, it's going
right,
to be interesting to
Jeff.
see if Brandon or Jeff decides to ping the War Juggernaut to give it that extra boost as well, because then that Sid's going to be even more effective at whittling down the HP.
Yeah. And we saw that earlier I think it was in game two, where a self ping from a War Juggernaut ended up actually rendering it in range for something that otherwise wouldn't have been able to kill it. But it's going to be the defender, which is a little interesting because it does mean CAD gets a swing for 7.
Yeah,
So I do think
surprising choice.
Jeff's gonna get knocked down to 16 damage on base, 9 HP remaining. And at that point we could see an attack pump on CAD ending the game in one shot if there were something like a surprise strike or a hot shot DL44 blaster.
Yeah, Jeff's still deciding none of those units are worth two cards. Um,
Yeah.
so his options is to swarm now. He only has the option to play another Seven Fleet Defender, which leaves him in a really rough position. With Brandon, with all of his resources, you can see in his hand he's got the contract, the Jump Master.
If he
This,
has a if he has a hot shot blaster, he can just claim here. He does go for the
yep,
just claim. It makes me think he has one in the row.
I would
Is that a
assume so.
devastator?
That is a devastator. You are correct. Wow. And he's looking in the resource row for that hotshot
There it
blaster, and
is.
there it is.
There's the handshake. Nice comeback win from Brandon with the McClunky Gaming team using the CAD Green 30 HP. Kind of an unusual deck for a lot of for a lot of players, and he's able to pilot it to victory even after losing game one to Jeff from the Bothan Network. So once again, we've seen that meta boogeyman Django being defeated here on stream.
Yeah, and in a similar fashion, I believe, right? Where winning game one, unable to close out the best of three.
Yeah.
So, and we did see those side deck commandeers put in a lot of work into Jeff's Django Tarkenton here.
Yeah, Commandeer is a powerful card. Especially for this matchup where some of the Django decks best plays. They do have potentially the red Devastator, but the War Juggernaut and Ruthless Raider plays, especially off TDR and Sneak Attack, are highly vulnerable to Commandeer.
Yep, like Spark of Rebellion's Traitorous before it. Sometimes these 5 costs steal an opponent's unit can just be what you need to turn favor. And I know early on in Star Wars Limited, Traitorous is very popular for setting things like Yoda with a lightsaber and other things with upgrades. So Commandeer kind of filling that void for the cunning decks now in a heavy vehicle meta.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a solid match. Also, a longer match than some of the ones that we've seen. So we have about 5.5 minutes before we're going to end the round here. Though I do think there's a chance there's going to be some games still going on after time is called. Nice to have a win for McClunky Gaming here on our stream, though.
Yeah, 100%. Zach now I believe is still undefeated. I believe had a draw yesterday. So uh now 4-0
Yeah, this
and
game
1.
does have draws in it now, not just double losses.
Yep. Yep, to everyone who hates Control's biggest sigh. Ugh, they get a draw now. But yes, you do get a point for a draw, and so Zach now 4-0 and 1
In
heading
chat,
into round
Wooden
5.
Puddle said, "Hot Shot Blaster strikes again. Love that card. Yeah, that's a favorite card of mine as well."
Yep. Very strong card. I think obviously the power level we could all tell when it was revealed back in set 2, but I still think there was a lot of people underrating it. And then once we got the cards in our hand, that became a 3 of pretty quickly in a lot of cunning decks.
Yeah, I think you are on target. I think you are on target with that, Pasquale. It is a very powerful card. A lot of cunning decks, even if they don't actually have aggression as an aspect, it's a 2x or 3x card for them.
Yep, yep. And what's funny is aggression cunning decks. Sometimes I've seen it actually played from the hand for one. If a unit's already attacked and you just want to give it the buff, it's such a versatile card.
Absolutely. That's yeah, I think you get the max value if you are in aggression cunning, because you do have both of those modes available to you. But it is a card that is so good that it sees play in cunning deck, especially in cunning decks, even if they don't have aggression, since that smuggle mode is in a sense primary. And that's what we saw there in the CAD Green.
Yeah, it really does put in the work. Um, but interested. It definitely was fascinated to see. We didn't see Jeff pull out any hot shots, but we did see the arm to the teeth. I wonder if they've swapped them since now that deck is so much more heavy space that they were like, these aren't really going to hit as much the hot shots because they can't
Mm.
be put on vehicles. So they went for the arm to the teeth instead. And I wonder if that's a sacrifice, that they decided to make. And interested to see how that plays out for them in the rest of the event.
Yeah, I think in a sense they both have similar roles in terms of a way to add some extra damage from the row via smuggle. Um, one relevant difference would be that arm to the teeth gets more total value if you have a wide board, but the hotshot blaster gives that nice immediate damage as soon as you play it without the opponent having a chance to respond, which is a trait that can be very helpful in this game. That this is a game of back and forth in a lot of situations, and being able to take kind of two actions in one by having the immediate attack is something that we've seen associated with a lot of strong buff cards in this game.
Yeah, action cheating is something that at first glance we all know is super powerful, but oftentimes the community can write stuff off pretty quickly. And I think in set 4 we're seeing that with particularly Lando Calrissian, the new vigilance leader. I think people wrote him off pretty quickly, but are now realizing that the ability to give a shield to something while playing another unit is actually extremely powerful when combined with sentinels. So action cheating of all
Yeah,
kinds
I think
is
I
really
think
valuable.
Django's no joke.
Yeah, Lando is very strong, and interested to see if we'll see any Landos in pool 2. I don't think any were in pool 1, but I think I have high hopes for pool 2 with another fresh 120 plus players that someone will roll the dice on Lando.
Yep.
All right, this fifth round, first round of the day, wrapping up here. About 30 seconds away before time is called. I think we're just waiting on a couple of matches to finish up. Looks to be maybe 3 or 4 left.
All right. Yep. We have, there are in a larger tournament, there are often these sorts of situations where, there might be control mirrors or other matchups where things are going to take a little bit longer at the end. It's not at all unheard of. Not at all even particularly uncommon in larger events. So
Yeah, for sure, especially when there is this much money on the line. Everyone wants to think through every play before they make them. As you once you know that you're getting close to the end of the round, you want to make sure you have as little mistakes as possible. Um,
yeah,
even
there
in
is a
fast mirrors.
6K cash prize pool for this event.
Yeah, biggest of in terms of prizing event that we've had in Star Wars Unlimited so far. So very exciting.
Yeah. Well, Pasquale, what would you be playing if you were making it out to this event yourself?
Oh man, this is the $1 million question heading into next weekend where I have to make a decision. I like I mentioned yesterday, I've been really liking Anakin Colossus has been my go-to right now. I took it to our weekly local here in New York City at Hex and Company on Wednesday. I did go undefeated. So that felt pretty good. I had a draw in there as well, but I was pretty confident that if we kept playing, I might have squeaked that one out. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the extra 5 HP on Colossus. Anakin can get an extra point of damage because you have more HP.
Mm.
And they some really interesting tools that the deck has to combat Django. Your all clear kit in particular, quite strong. And the deck can make up the draw or lack thereof because you only get 5 cards with things like the new Red Squadron. What's that? Green Wing or something? The 3/4 for 3 in Vigilance that can damage itself to draw a card. You have
Oh
access to
yeah.
C3PO, which can net you a card with R2D2, or you can get lucky, and most of us just call 3 because we run a lot of 3 drops, things like that. So there's a lot of ways to kind of get back that card pretty quickly in Anakin. Um, so I've been really enjoying the dynamic of having this 35 HP base with a leader that has so much restore built in
Mm.
with the Vigilance Force units.
What do you think of the combination of C3PO with odd numbers Han?
Yeah, really big fan of that deck. I was actually kind of what like talking it up in a local Discord, and I think there is definitely something there. It's tough to justify wanting to play um, Han from Jump to Lightspeed because it's the same colors as Han from set one. And obviously, that's a very strong leader. But I do think the knowledge you'll get enables a lot of interesting combos with C3PO. And also, if you want to go into Vigilance with Foresight as a one-cost upgrade, you get that knowledge as well. So Foresight will always, call correct because you'll know what's on top of your deck.
Mm, good point.
Jello Moose says, "Who is this sultry voice on with Tower Number 9?" That is me, Pasquale, here with Tower Number 9, commentating on the battle in BIATL here, hosted by the Monta Network at CardsHQ. 'HQ. 'Cause HQ. 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 'Cause But yeah, I like that Han deck. It's typically paired with aggression, it seems. There's a lot of cool plays you can do with the new Han leader from Jump to Lightspeed with things like they hate that ship, getting out
Mm.
early Falcons or early home ones if your opponent had played just one space unit. Um, and that would be the new home one from set 4 as well. There's some really neat combos that Pilot Han can do with the Tactical Bomber, the new 5 cost unit, and things like people referring to it's like Kimojian turn or K turn that readies a vehicle with
Oh yeah,
6 or
what
less
is it?
power.
Koya Grand Turn? It's something weird.
Yeah, I just call it K turn. I don't even know how to say its name, honestly. Core Grand turn, something like that. But yeah, readies a vehicle with 6 or less power, so Han can flip onto this vehicle, hit for a boatload of damage. On the flip turn, you ready a bunch of resources. It's a really explosive combo deck. But then you have to ask yourself, is this better than just giving myself a free resource every turn?
Yeah, and the set one Han has his disadvantages. He can be pretty vulnerable to discard at times.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Definitely not without its flaws. But I think, what people were saying that while the new Han has a very explosive flip turn, similar to like a Boba Fett from Spark of Rebellion, Han, because it can always play one more resource, can also just play always on the odd turns. So you don't
Mm.
really have to run evens as well, because Han can always just push you up one more turn to from 4 to 5 and 5 to 7, things like that. So it's an interesting kind of discussion there, but I do like the design as well. And once rotation hits, that we'll only have the one Han anyway out of these two. So we'll see if we get any more, any more Han Solo leaders.
Yeah. Young Han himself going to rotate out. Now, Young
Yep.
Han's interesting. He saw a fair amount of play when Set 2 first came out, but hasn't really been as popular recently. I think in large part because he is vulnerable to Tarkin Town, which has seen a lot of play in Set 3. We'll see what the meta looks like for Set 4, but Tarkentown certainly seems like it's popular with Django, who people currently think is the deck to beat. So I have to see how that pans out.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Han from Shadows of the Galaxy. I think, like you said, Tarkin Town kind of surpassing Energy Conversion Lab as the most popular base. Last set pushed that deck out of the meta.
Mm,
But I think in set 4, if you're looking into command with that leader, you now have access to really powerful synergies with the new Poe Dameron, which Han can play for 1 cheaper. And then that can just hop onto a space unit or the X-Wing token it creates to kind of mitigate any of the damage anyway.
yeah,
There's some
that's
really
a
fascinating
very
lines.
powerful combination.
Yeah, yeah, and you can even run things like Data Vault, because again, Han can pseudo resource cheat, so you're not really worried about a turn 1 play. So the 10 extra cards might be worth it for 3 more HP in this meta.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we love a. I feel like we are at the tip of a really fun sandbox that if people start to realize Django is beatable, and we've seen it on stream, he bleeds. That
Yeah.
maybe there's some extra spicy stuff here that you're just not willing to try out of fear. But there's some cool decks out there that are actually worth a second look.
Yeah, we'll have to see how things go, but I do think there is the opportunity for some further exploration this set.
Yep. Wooden Puddle asks, how are the Rex players doing today? I believe both Rex decks dropped out of the event. There were 2 that
Rip.
entered yesterday that I'm aware of, and I do not think they made it into the second day, unfortunately. Uh, um, yeah, they weren't like 1-3 and 2-2 respectively, as far as I know. But
R.I.P.
they showed up. They tried. They tried. They tried. The combo happened when it happened, but not enough to, survive the stiff competition of Pool 1. Yeah, and it does look like pairings are up for the 6th round here. Players are getting situated and finding their opponents. So eager to see what we have on stream. Now, Tower, it being just past 6 a.m. for you on the West Coast, are you a coffee drinker? Are you a caffeinated human
I'm
being?
not right now.
Not at
But
all.
I'll
Good
tell
for you.
you, I wish I had some caffeine. No,
Okay.
I'm doing okay, but no, don't have anything like that on me here,
All
unfortunately.
right. All right.
Um,
Wasn't sure if you're maybe a matcha guy or a coffee person, or you're just someone who runs into the world without the coffee in hand. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be
yeah,
me.
yeah, it's not I'm not much of a coffee guy.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
what are what are we gonna have for this next matchup, do you think? And what would
As
you
someone
most
who
like to
is a
see?
big stalker of Melee, I know Grumpy Elephant is, I believe, undefeated. If you're unfamiliar with the player Grumpy Elephant, they are a Quinlan ECL player. So I'm really hoping we get them on stream. I believe they took it today as well. I'd love to see how the deck's evolved with so many strong command heroism units. That I would say that got the most out of anything besides Django. There's so many powerful units in that color combo now.
Mm,
So I'm really, really hoping for the Quinlan ECL deck to appear on stream. Arctic
yeah,
Phoenix wants to know, what does the meta look like so far, Tower?
well, I mean, so I don't know that we have like I don't actually. I think we do. If we check out Melee, we should be able to pull that up. But I don't know if there's like an infographic anywhere. What I will say about it is that I think going into this event, the meta is, in my opinion, broadly defined as Django and counters to Django. And it looks like we might be seeing another Django matchup here. It looks like we have Radford on the left playing Quinlan Tarkentown versus Symbiote on the right playing Django Tarkentown.
Yeah, I'm getting half my wish here. Quinlan versus Django, but not the ECL I was hoping to see. That's all right. Maybe Grumpy didn't want to appear on stream just yet, give away all their secrets. Um, but yeah, we this would be our third Django of the day. Thankfully, we haven't seen a mirror in this event. So, but definitely is Django all over, and then what people think can be Django. So that looks to be the meta so far. Like you said, Django and decks that people are hoping can beat Django.
Hmm.
But Quinlan, Tarkentown here definitely didn't got some new tools in the form of Ahsoka, the new 4-drop rare from Jump to Lightspeed. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing um, Quinlan attack the hand of Django rather quickly. I would love to see some jam communications in this matchup. Get rid of those triple dark raids and sneak attacks just for one. A lovely addition as well to this deck.
Yeah, I do think that this Quinlan deck has some of the best discard tech of anything right now. And that can be especially strong in the Han matchup where Han, we were kind of talking about this earlier. Han 1 kind of goes low on cards in hand in order to use his ability, which makes him extra vulnerable to discard effects in some cases. Though he can mitigate that via smuggle. And Quinlan can run force throw, especially you have a bunch of force units that you kind of want to be playing anyway. You have potentially turn one force units with cards like Grogu and the new pilot Anakin, the young Anakin from Star Wars Episode One.
Yeah,
And
finally
you
after
can
four
also run
sets.
Pillage, K2, that one 5/4 ship that makes the opponent discard on defeat.
Yep,
And
yeah,
here we're
there's
seeing some
a
discard
lot.
early on. Spark of Rebellion.
Yeah, really interesting that Radford chose to give Django his turn one play and felt the 7 Fleet Defender was a bigger threat. Um,
Yeah, now was there another card in hand that Symbiote could have played on turn one? I'm not sure that there was.
No, it was a Devastator, Crafty Smuggler, a Seven Fleet Defender, and I think a War Juggernaut. Um, but either way, he said, "You know what? I'm not scared of Crafty." Interesting
Yeah,
choice.
often that initial spark of rebellion or the early Bazine Natal is trying to blank the opponent's first turn, but he went for the Seventh Fleet Defender instead. The problem is Symbiote just drew two more cards and might have drawn another play that he can make on this second turn, while he wouldn't have had the chance to draw into he wouldn't have had the chance to draw a card before having to just pass the turn if that two cost was cleared.
Yeah, now we're seeing the new Red Squadron Y-Wing come down, a 1/3 with, on
Ooh,
attack, deal 3 indirect damage. Um,
unfortunate for Radford here. It looks like Symbiote did draw another three cost, so might be kicking himself a bit for that choice on the Spark of Rebellion. Didn't end up being able to blank a turn, and his Y-Wing getting pinged and cleared by Tarkentown by an elite P-38 Starfighter.
yeah, I think he was hoping that his Y-Wing would stick because there were no other space units in Django's hand, but obviously the deck runs so many, it was almost inevitable. And now he's being, the pressure is on. The board is controlled by Django, and like you said, he might definitely be regretting not taking that Crafty Smuggler out of the hand.
Now, Typhabes ask, where did the indirect go? There was no indirect damage because that Y wing inflicts the indirect damage on attack. We did see one ping damage from Quinlan's ability being used to clear the crafty smuggler's shield, though. Ooh, here
Yeah.
comes a strong player, Ezra Bridger into a forced throw.
Yep, indeed, and, I think
Forced throw, one of the best cards in the game.
yeah, and I think now we're gonna see a board wipe on the other side, probably gonna kill the Crafty and Tarkentown away that P-38.
Devastator discarded 9, so I think it's 8 damage, 9 damage on that crafty smuggler. P-38 swings in, then gets cleared by Tarkentown, just like you said.
Yeah, I'm surprised he went for the force throw first. He could have cleared the P-38 quicker, but
Yeah.
opted to take 3 more damage. Maybe a couple of miscalculations here, I think. But
IG
Ezra is a very
2000
strong unit to stick.
Yeah, IG 2000 pings Ezra, but with Tarkentown already used, he is gonna stick on the board, and we could see Ezra attack the base and potentially get a card played off the top of the deck here.
Yep. If I were Radford, that's what I would be shooting for to start the turn because I don't have an answer in my hand to this IG. Um, so I think you need to fish
Now
for something.
he does look to have um Plo Koon in hand, so he may want to flip Quin. Yeah, he flips Quinlan here. So now if Django flips, Plo Koon plus a Quinlan ping can clear Django immediately.
Yep. Yep. He's definitely using his base as a resource here. Just
Ooh,
allowing
he's
himself to take some damage.
Commandeer on the top of the deck there, which he sees with Ezra's ability, choosing to leave it on top of the deck.
Yep. He's
Did
definitely
Symbiote pass?
he's passed. He's holding Django hostage. He's daring
Yeah.
him to flip right now or spend some resources, and I'm not sure if Symbiote even has a play worthwhile here, but I wonder if he
If
passed
Symbiote
again.
just keeps passing, do you just take initiative as Radford?
Yeah, I think with Ezra, you're gonna be able to accumulate a lot of advantage anyway.
Yeah, the board is
You
substantially better here. I think he's fine with the turn ending, and I think that just happened.
Yep, and I think Ezra also, giving Radford the knowledge that he's drawing into a commandeer means he's not even afraid of a triple dark raid ruthless
Yeah.
raider in this turn. So that was actually some clutch knowledge for Radford as to say, you know what, I don't need to do anything. I'm drawing my answer next turn.
This time Ezra sees attacks into the base for 3, sees another Ezra on top of the deck, and Radford opts to discard it. Um, so that's one of the other benefits of using Ezra. You get that filtering effect sometimes.
Yep.
Django is kind of pinned there by the threat of Plo Koon. Symbiote in an awkward spot, but let's see what he can do.
Yeah, he might go for that triple dark raid here, but just gonna go for a raider,
Ooh,
which we
a
now
raider
know
with
the
no
answer is.
raid.
Yeah, exactly. Does get to save his Quinlan, or damage from Quinlan, I should say, but we know that a Commandeer is there. But if he plays Commandeer, Django is free to flip. So that is the conundrum you have as Radford now.
Yeah, he could, however, commandeer that raider and use it to either kill the IG-2000 or just throw more damage on Symbiote's base and set him back. Like you said, playing the commandeer does mean that Django's free to flip, but looks like Radford's going for it. That raider is going to end up getting sent back to hand probably, and because Symbiote already used Django's exhaust on the raider ping, he cannot really deal with this raider at this time. If he flips Django to then get the leader exhaust, it'll be too late. Radford uses the commandeered raider to clear IG 2000. Symbiote is now going to flip Django. Now, one interesting thing here is if Symbiote flips Django and uses him to kill Ezra, we're then going to see a situation where Plo Koon would no longer have coordinate. However, he actually wouldn't need coordinate because Django would be damaged and the base 3 damage plus the Quinlan ping would be sufficient.
Yep. Now we're seeing Symbiote just go full aggro here, accepting that he's probably going to lose his board anyway. We also can see in Radford's hand he does have the Han Solo in his hand, so that Django
Ooh.
is not long for the world.
Yeah, one way or another. I guess at this point, you may as well bring out Han unless he has a 2 cost. Oh, he does have a surprise strike, so he could do Plo Koon, kill Django, plus throw out that surprise strike for more damage on the base.
Yeah,
Might be more desirable than bringing out Han at this point.
yeah, he's in a bit of a tough spot because you know your Ezra is going to die to the Raider. So it's tempting to go for that, but you need to clear the Django so you don't take an additional 3 damage this turn for you from the
Yeah,
attack.
I think you just accept Ezra will be defeated if that raider comes out. I think that Radford has really taken more damage on his base than he would like, even though he has a very strong board position. Um, in chat, we have somebody suggesting Plo first for sure, save Han. Yeah, you could potentially save Han and use him to clear out a War Juggernaut later on. That would be pretty strong in my opinion. I do think
Yeah,
that I think you probably want to play one or the other and get Django off the board though, just because here at 17 damage on base, even just a swing for 3 isn't something you want in. But it does look like Radford is going to go for Han instead. So we're going to see the Quinlan Voss ping doing 1 damage to Django, allowing Han to kill him without taking any damage in return.
yeah, I think
Um,
Han's the safer play because it comes in undamaged because of the ping, and now you're presenting no matter your Ezra's dying regardless here, so now you're presenting 6 damage without the need for coordinate. A hotshot blaster brings that up to 8, and all of a sudden he's at 17 damage if you got that blaster in your row
mm,
for next turn. So I think you're
yeah.
Radford. You need to turn the corner here because you can't really risk a triple Dark Ray Devastator swinging in for 13 to end the game.
Yeah, Triple Dark Red Devastator would just win for Symbiote, but I don't think he has another TDR. Maybe he
No,
does.
not just. I don't think he has it currently, but we'll see. There's 3 resources for Waylay.
Wow.
Okay.
That Why did he waylay that when he could play the raider and kill it? What is he going for?
I do not know. That's a good question. Maybe he didn't want to tap out here, but now you give Quinlan the ability to attack for free.
Quinlan swings in. What is Symbiote doing here?
Yeah,
I
now
like your
there's
line with
lethal
the raider a
lethal on
lot
board.
more. That waylay seems
Yeah.
dubious to me.
Yeah, you have no body on board. You can't play Raider.
What is that?
Oh, that's the new 5/3 Sentinel, I believe, from Jump to Lightspeed. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I
Huh.
believe it's a very aggressively statted Sentinel. Um, let's see if I can get the name here. I think that would be. I don't know the name of that one off the top of my head.
Yeah, Claire has found it. The Shadowed Hover Tank, 5/3
Yeah,
Sentinel, Fringe Vehicle Tank. 4 cost unit
interesting.
is a ground vehicle, but it doesn't seem amazing here. Han could just kill it, although Radford opts to bring out Plo Koon, clearing the
Yeah,
Shadowed Hover Tank and leaving Han free to swing at the base.
yeah, I think now you'll see a Raider, but maybe Symbiote was hoping for a triple dark raid off the top here for that game-ending Devastator play we'd mentioned. Don't think they hit it though.
So what do we do here? Raider ping and exhaust Han?
Yeah, I think that's what you gotta hope for. I think then Radford, I would put money on a surprise strike or a hot shot blaster on Quinlan, then putting Django basically in check here with either of Plo or Han
No,
with a
it's
War
a
Juggernaut.
wow. War Juggernaut. That's actually better than the Raider because you get to kill Plo Koon and exhaust Han.
Yep, for
But
sure.
it doesn't do the direct damage to base, so it's not putting Radford closer there. Now it is getting +2 right now, so it can actually swing into Han, take him out, and stay alive. Yeah, that's not bad at all for Symbiote.
Yeah, but we are seeing, like I mentioned, there is the pump in the hand. There's a surprise strike, could go 6 into base, putting him to 18 and threatening
Yeah,
lethal next turn.
I don't know though. With Han maybe about to die, it's an interesting situation here. How will Radford respond?
Only one resource open, 3 cards in hand for Symbiote, so the Ahsoka probably not a good play, and just chooses to do 3.
Radford, I think Radford might appreciate having one of those ground sentinels himself, but I don't think he does. Oh, he only had 3 resources. I thought he had 4. So he's gonna bring out Ezra Bridger. And yeah, so Symbiote here. Does
Triple Dark
Symbiote
Raid
have
picked up.
now let's see here. So that War Juggernaut would be swinging for 5. If
Yep.
Symbiote has a surprise strike, this War Juggernaut's lethal. Yeah, that's 8
That's
damage to base,
true.
right?
Yep.
That would actually close out the game.
Yeah, that's 25. And he picked up the triple dark raid, so he's more than likely lethal on board because it doesn't really matter what he hits. He just needs 3 damage, and Django runs plenty of 3 attack space units.
The question is, can Radford either disrupt that or get there faster? And he might actually not be able to.
Yeah, it seems like both players are 2 actions off a lethal, so if Symbiote just goes for the base, then your only option is surprise strike.
Although if Symbiote has to play a triple Dark Raid, it would be 3 actions to lethal.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, the triple dark raid needs to hit something to exhaust the Hana, and then you're maybe okay. He
Yeah,
would
let's
need
see.
2
So
pumps.
assuming Han gets exhausted, Radford has 2 units that can swing for 3. Yeah, he would need to have 2 pumps, like you said. Though there is a big chaos factor with what Ezra might flip. War Juggernaut
Okay.
straight to the base.
I think
I think
I think if you're Radford, you
throw
gotta go for
throw
surprise
Han.
strike Han.
Or do you save the surprise strike here? You
Um,
could just throw Han into the base, and that way you don't show your opponent that you have lethal next play.
this is yeah, that's true. I think that could work. Han into base.
Oh, goes for it.
Yep.
4 damage left, but Symbiote may not realize Radford has this surprise strike. So
Yeah, and he can't
Radford
full.
critically has 3 HP, and that means Raider doesn't kill the base.
Yeah, but Devastator wins the game. He can go 3
Absolutely.
into base. Yep.
If he can does he have the resources for it? I think he does, right? The
If he
question is,
kept
can he find
resourcing,
it?
he should have enough. You only
Yeah.
need
He
7.
goes for it. If he can I think so I think on this triple dark raid, if Symbiote finds Devastator, he wins. If he doesn't find it, he loses. It all comes down to these top decks.
Yep. There's no Devastator. Oh, that's
No
such a
Devastator.
bad oh, it's
I
horrible.
think he's got an IG 2000.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
puts him at
it's a train
lethal and
wreck.
exhausts one of these units, but Radford has the surprise strike. This game's going to Radford.
Yep. 100%. That was Such a whiff. Oof. There were so many events in that reveal as well.
Yeah, he didn't have a ton of options to choose from. Now the surprise strike comes out and closes the game.
Wow, really
Tough
tight
one.
set. Really tight game one here.
Yeah, Radford had a very strong board position, but took a bunch of damage early on. Um, Symbiote was showing another one of those hover tanks, or whatever that unit is. The
I think
five
that's
three ground
yeah, the
sentinel.
shadowed hover tank. I think that's correct.
Not a unit that I think is really excellent, to be honest with you. But in that situation, he could have maybe brought that out to buy some more time on the ground. But the problem is, he would then not have the ping to exhaust. So Radford would have been able to crash one of his units into the tank and swing in with the other one.
Yeah, the 3 health on that unit is definitely questionable, but we're seeing some choices being made by these jungle players. Armed to the teeth last game. Now we're seeing this shadow tank, and they're at these top tables. So some of these choices they've paid off in some
Yeah.
regard, but in this matchup, the 3 HP is just not going to cut it.
Yeah, see, I think that the Echo base defender at 4/3 Sentinel for one less seems like a better card, and that itself doesn't seem that amazing these days.
Yep.
Um, but what I do actually think is kind of cool, I think it's called the Perimeter ATRT, which is 4 for a 3/5 Sentinel. That seems pretty real to me.
Yeah, that's a very annoying stat line. Anytime you get kind of that in between with a little bit more health instead on these sentinels, like we saw with the in Cad Bane, the contracted jump master, that 2/4. Yeah, the 4 or 5 HP sentinels are very annoying. But I do like these aggressive statted units. I think they're overlooked a little bit. Um, like I'd mentioned yesterday a few times, the new Cham Sundula I think is in a lot of people's side decks, but I think there's a premium here for a 5 attack on 4 heading into a lot of these flip turns with these 7 HP leaders.
Interesting point.
Um, so that's where appreciate them because now they're a hotshot blaster away or a surprise strike, so both kill. Whereas a lot of times you're playing 4 attack units, and now your only out is surprise strike. So I think maybe that's the thought Symbiote had was if I play this 5/3 Sentinel, I get to hold their leader hostage, just like Plo, the fear of Plo made Django deploy later.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm a fan of the 5 attack 4 cost units, but again, Cham has that 4 HP, which is just a little bit better than 3. Even though the Sentinel is nice, I think the 5/4 stat line is a little just more annoying for a lot of these other decks to deal with. All
Yeah,
right,
it's
that was
interesting to think about all the nuances of different cards, different leaders, different sorts of things you can do.
Yeah, it's important to recognize the breakpoints of cards and leaders in the format you're in. That's why there was a lot of chat last set about like the Petronaki Arena and these rare bases that give leaders +1 attack or +1 health, and how that affects their breakpoints in certain matchups. Um, but that was a very quick side deck. These players seem pretty familiar with the matchups, and we are already into the second game.
Now, in chat, Nick the Burner had an interesting question earlier, which was, are any of the Django's spicy, or is it just set 3 plus War Juggernaut and Devastator? I would say there's a bit more difference than that. I mean, for one thing, there's IG 2000 in addition to the 2 cards you mentioned. But
Hmm.
broadly speaking, the Django deck is still running a lot of the cards that it ran in set 3.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some spicier choices, but obviously that's the big pickup. I akin this Django deck to Sabine in what it got, right? Set 1, Sabine was kind of glass cannon aggro, and then set 2 got Wrecker and Poe and allowed it to be a little bit more mid range and go taller. Django feels similar, where it was a little bit more aggro last set, um, with the ability to kind of play control thanks to the leader ability, but now it can go very tall with these new additions.
interesting how things can change as leaders get new cards. I think we saw Sabine switch from being a more pure aggro deck early on to having more mid range elements. But game two is going here.
Yeah, we saw the Spark of Rebellion turn one, revealing a very similar situation for Radford, but this time he chose let's blank turn one instead of allowing the crafty to hit the board, which saved him some damage. But that led Symbiote to Gorilla Soldier to open three resources, and therefore all the indirect damage had to go to base, which allows the Gorilla Soldier to ready, so 5 damage on Radford's base.
Yeah, there's another new card for Django. And here's a new one for Quinlan as well. I believe Red 5 came out there.
Yeah, big red 5. Nice. That 3/4 for 3, which was kind of premium to Millennium Falcon, piece of junk, is now readily available for lots of colors. In thanks to Jump to Lightspeed.
Yeah, not as rare a sight as it once was.
Yeah, Ahsoka hitting the board, and that looks like a waylay discarded by Symbiote off of the Ahsoka ability. And we do see a force throw primed and ready in Radford's hand heading into this Quinlan flip turn. Both leaders are able to deploy. Um, would be interesting to see if there's a Han Solo in hand, so you can force throw yourself to kill the Django on flip. But
Yeah.
instead, Seventh Fleet goes into base first. With 2 units on board and the ability not to kill either, you are still at risk of being Plo Kooned here. Ooh, and he has Surprise Strike. So now Surprise Strike plus Ahsoka. Now Django would be at 1 HP. So and
Yes.
the Plo Koon I see in his hand, kind of shielded at the very uh, palm of his hand.
Not not a great looking board for Symbiote right now, but triple Dark Raid might change that up. Let's see what he can find.
Yep. Triple Dark Raid, we knew he had. It was revealed by Spark of Rebellion. So still in the hand.
There's a Devastator, but I think it's too early for that. I don't think he has the resources to actually bring it out.
Yeah, he can only go for the Raider here as the best option.
Raider's not exactly a bad pull.
No, Raider can clear 2 units here. He could tap down the Ahsoka, Tarkin Town it, and then kill the Red 5, which would turn off Coordinate.
Yeah, good point.
We'll see if that's the line he takes. But I think that might be the best option to keep your Django intact.
Yeah, so there's the damage on Ahsoka and the exhaust. Now the question is, how will Radford reply? If he doesn't have some card to answer this Raider directly, might want to swing with Red 5 before it gets cleared.
Yeah, I think the choice here is
Does
interesting.
does have a
Uh,
forced throw, but doesn't use it at this time.
oh, he starts with
Interestingly,
Quinlan.
he swings with Quinlan. Maybe he's trying to bait his opponent into hitting Red 5, but it isn't the case. The Raider goes for the base instead, and Red 5 crashes into the Raider. Wow.
Well, that's being bounced back to hand. It's
He's
very
gonna. I think
confusing.
he's going to use Tarkentown on it to prevent it from going back to hand. But
Huh.
yeah, that's not what I expected. Yeah, there's the Tarkentown. And that does mean that the Raider's trigger goes off here for 2 more damage to the base and 2 damage on Quinlan.
Hmm.
And Coordinate is now off. There is a forced throw waiting in hand.
Yeah, but he can't force through himself. There's no Han Solo, so he's
No.
gotta force through his opponent.
He brings out Plo Koon for the ambush on Django, but without Coordinate, it's only going to be 4 total damage, 1 from the Quinlan ping and 3 from Plo Koon. We
Yep.
mentioned earlier, Cad Bane brought new life to the capture mechanic. Plo Koon is one of like 2 cards with the coordinate mechanic that sees a lot of competitive play. Arguably 3. Arguably 3. Some people play Cody,
Sure.
but I think coordinate is mostly just Plo Koon, Isla Secura, and Cody. Now, Django Django swings into Quinlan and dies, but it sets up Quinlan to then be removed by a daring raid.
Yeah, very interesting,
This turn
kind
did
of.
not go how I was expecting.
No, same. If I honestly, if I were Radford, I might have sent my red 5 into the 7 fleet because I feel like that shield is kind of annoying. And I wouldn't be too concerned with a Ruthless Raider in hand at this point, but he opted to clear that instead, and now still has to deal with this shielded unit that he can't ping.
Yeah, and only 9 HP left on his base. This game is looking a lot more favorable for Symbiote than game 1 was.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what my point still standing. If that shield wasn't there, the force throw on Django is probably clears the 7 fleet, but now it probably, definitely can't. So what is that? 19 damage on Quinlan's base here
Yeah, he
versus
is now
only
in range of
9.
a simple surprise strike from that 7th Fleet defender would now close the game. But he does have a full hand. Let's see what he can find. Something big?
Oh, it's a Lando's Pride, Millennium Falcon.
Lando's Falcon. I I don't know. That's kind of a with the shield still up on that 7th Fleet defender, that's kind of a clunky response.
Yeah, it doesn't do a whole lot of anything, honestly.
And here's a War Juggernaut pinging both Quinlan and Lando's Pride, now able to swing for 5 damage, which
Yeah,
is not quite
interesting.
lethal. Now, if he pinged
Yeah,
himself too, he would have the threat of lethal.
yeah, I would have probably done that, so I'm presenting it in 2 arenas with a Surprise Strike on the 7th Fleet, but opted to play a little safe, which I can respect. Wanted the War Juggernaut to have full health. We've seen the one ping on itself being punished before, so not the most surprising turn there for Symbiote.
Initiative taken by Radford, and let's see what he can do. It's going to be, looks like maybe a spare the target in hand to bounce one of these units. Going to bounce that War Juggernaut. Does Symbiote have the surprise strike to take the win?
Yep, even maybe an arm to the teeth we could see again. That would be enough.
No, it's going to just be a direct replay of the War Juggernaut used to exhaust something, exhaust Plo Koon.
Okay. There's a world where Ahsoka exhausts a 7th Fleet defender,
Yeah, could
but
happen.
then you're still in trouble. This like I mentioned, this shield is quite annoying. Not sure.
Radford is in a fairly weak defensive position here. I think he has 2 surprise strikes in hand, but I'm not sure he's going to get a chance to use them.
Yeah. Yep. The decision to kind of cull the raider with the Tarkentown might be a big issue
No,
here.
he goes for a surprise strike. Okay.
That puts.
He maybe he sees that control he's losing
Oh,
control.
what's interesting? There's lethal on board. He's got the second surprise
Yeah,
strike.
yeah. So if he actually so he doesn't have any way to control the 7th Fleet defender other than Ahsoka. Symbiote takes the initiative here.
Yeah, he
And that's
recognizes he's
so
in lethal range.
yeah, but like Lando's Falcon can be cleared by the 7th Fleet defender, right?
Yeah, 100%. It needed to do that, but for some
Oh,
reason
Force
he.
Throw hits a Devastator and clears the War Juggernaut.
Um,
Yeah, so if
hmm.
Symbiote had swung with his defender, he would have been able to clear Lando's Falcon. Then Plo Koon without coordinate wouldn't be lethal even with that surprise strike. But I
Yeah,
guess
he might have another
he
war
doesn't know.
juggernauts.
He doesn't. Oh,
Okay,
Devastator!
that's why he claimed he can kill
Devastator wipes
everything.
the board here. I think
Yeah, or at least it
he
taps
has to
down
had
the
two
falcon.
Devastators in hand. that's why he discarded one.
Yeah, he just needs to ping 1 on the Falcon, he can go 2 to base.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. So he could do no. He's gonna just clear it.
Okay.
So that means that he doesn't threaten immediate lethal.
No.
But if that Devastator gets to swing again, that is gonna close it because Devastator swings for 9, right? So that's lethal on its own.
Yep, 100%. He's got a Waylay to answer the Devastator, but then I don't know if he has a good follow-up unit.
If
He could
Radford
play the
waylays the
Ahsoka.
Devastator, Symbiote can swing into base for 3. And then is that enough to allow the replay Devastator to just win? Oh man, it's Han. But that's like all his resources. Symbiote can just claim and win here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Devastator to
Yep.
base, close the game, and Symbiote does get the win after a kind of complicated end game there.
Yeah, his best play was to Ahsoka. I don't know if he had any cards in hand though, but if there was a card in hand to discard, that could exhaust a 7th fleet if it was a unit. But I think he played all the cards in his hand. I'm not
He like
sure.
Ahsoka and then bounce the Devastator.
Yeah, Ahsoka, you bait the claim out of Symbiote because you only have 3 resources left, or and then you do have the Waylay answer. So
Yeah.
you're within almost lethal yourself there.
Didn't
Uh,
end up working out for him. And
yeah,
yeah, someone in
or
chat mentioned that Radford was shuffling with his cards facing him. He is doing that, and that is not really the way that you're supposed to do that.
yeah, oh yeah, power shuffling as well with the cards that you get to see them.
Yeah. Not
He,
although yeah, it looks like he is doing some of this in a way that he can't see. So that's good at least. But yeah, try and keep your cards facing away from you or facing the table or whatever when you're shuffling.
yeah, another avenue. Now that I'm thinking about it, was if Symbiote didn't have any cards in hand, he could have actually waylaid the Devastator and then played Ahsoka to discard the Devastator.
Ooh,
Therefore, that would
that
have
would
been
have
an
been
interesting
spicy.
line. Yeah, there were lines there. I don't know why he decided to tap out
Although
and
if he
kind of
does that, he
concede.
does he does get hit by he does get hit by Seventh Fleet, right?
Yeah, he still takes 3, but then he needs a pump to win because I believe he was only at 17, so he needed a surprise strike after with the 7th fleet. So yeah, there was another line that at least kind of put Symbiote in a place of, do you have the out, or do I get to swing for more with my Ahsoka? So, but he chose to kind of concede there in a way by just tapping out. All right, both players are keeping their starting hand, I think. Yep. All right.
Now uh I have a report here. So there is the sector qualifier going on, I believe, in Milan.
Yep.
And I have a report here claiming that of the top 80 players at the event right now, 67 of them are playing Django.
Wow.
Not 100% confirmed. That's just something I saw here on Discord, but that does to me seem like a reason to be a little concerned about about
Yeah.
those Django decks, and I would not be running something that is a dog to Django in this field.
If I was FFG and that is actually true, it's a near 600 player event today, I would be really worried about the format.
Now, I'll personally say we've seen Django take several losses on stream. This match, of course, isn't decided yet. I personally feel there are good answers to Django, so I wouldn't necessarily intervene immediately, but that's a dramatic result.
Yeah, for sure. It would just be something I'd be worried about if I were FFG. Obviously, we don't need anything to happen this week, but if it's a similar result heading into Denver next weekend, then I think you definitely have to consider something. I think if 2 weekends in a
Yeah.
row you have a massive, what is that, almost 75+% of the field is Django fed at the top tables.
Well, so yeah, I mean, we'll have to see also what happens in like as things get narrowed down more, you know
For
what I
sure,
mean?
for
But
sure.
yeah, it doesn't seem great.
Nope. All right, he took. All right, so Guerrilla Soldier was played here, and then that would be all three of the indirect went to base, which allows the soldier to ready, and then two more into base. Ezra played, pings the soldier. Tarkentown takes out the soldier, and we're kind of seesawing back and forth with our Tarkentowns here. Is what happened.
Yeah, the crafty smuggler swings, hits Ezra, losing the shield, and then Symbiote uses his own Tarkentown. So at the end of turn 2 here, both players have used Tarkentown.
Tarkentown, yeah,
Radford
with
has 5 damage on base, Symbiote has 4. Radford with a slightly better board thanks to his Y-Wing there against Symbiote's now unshielded crafty smuggler. But, I would say a broadly similar state here. Each player with a bit of damage on the base and 1 unit on the board.
yep. Ooh, Spark Rebellion here can actually kind of ruin Django's turn. It can take out that IG and then leave him with just a waylay for
Yeah,
the
and
turn.
Waylay on this Y-Wing would do something, but not exactly a great use of resources because Radford could then immediately replay it and actually do a damage to that crafty smuggler in the process. Does look like Symbiote's going to do it so that he at least gets some value. It's actually going to be Grogu rather than the Y-Wing, but that does ping the smuggler, and now next turn we could see that Y-Wing getting replayed and another ping coming out to actually kill the smuggler. And then
Yep.
Grogu's still up to potentially exhaust Django on flip and to enable force throws.
Yeah, Grogu is in this position very annoying because that's not what you want to be exhausting with Django. But it sometimes might feel like you have to, so it can't use its ability to exhaust any of your units. Really irritating for the Django to have to deal with that in this position.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you there.
Yep. The question is, do we want to take two more damage? And the answer is yes. So we're going to flip Quinlan first. Uh, yep. Threatening that Plo Koon again to one shot Django Fett.
Oh yeah, so someone was asking what we were saying with respect to Milan. I saw a report on Discord claiming that of the top 80 players, 64 of them were on Django, or I'm sorry, 67 of them were on Django.
Yep. And the event has, relatively deep now. So that would mean nearing the end of the first day. Uh, that many Django players have been that successful. So definitely a little bit scary
Yeah.
if you're
All
looking
right.
to play things that are weak into Django anyway.
Yeah, I would not be playing decks that are vulnerable to Django right now necessarily. On the other hand, I I do think my instinct, which could be wrong, is that Django may well prove overrated again, like he did last set. We'll have to see how it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's more tournaments with results like that, I might have to change my mind.
Yep. We're seeing the Crafty Smuggler forego the base here to exhaust Quinlan with 2 damage.
Yep. Grogu's still waiting here. Looks like what is this?
This is another Guerrilla
Um,
Soldiers with 3 indirect when played.
This time the indirect damage is being sent to units here. So the way the Soldier works is it's 3 for a 2/3. When played, it deals 3 indirect damage, and if any of that indirect damage hits the base, you get to ready it.
Yep, and now Bradford has no more actions to take other than pass because he does have the Plo Koon to answer Django. The question is, does he play the Plo Koon just to kill the soldiers? And you're still kind of putting Django in check here with a 6 damage, and he is going to do that.
Yeah,
Now
Plo Koon takes out the Gorilla Soldier,
yep, but
and
Django still can't get
Grogu.
to the base.
Well, kinda. Grogu's there to exhaust him,
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's good. We're just gonna seesaw a little bit here. Yep.
and then initiative taken. But so Symbiote did at least get and there's a surprise strike. If Plo Koon doesn't get exhausted, that surprise strike could kill Django in one go.
Yep. Yeah, but if there's a war juggernaut, this is going to be a massive exhaust here.
That is absolutely right, and
Oh,
there is. Radford's whole
Wow.
board exhausted. This is one of the main capabilities that Django has gained here in set 4. So cards like War Juggernaut and IG 2000 allow Django to exhaust a large number of units at once. And in this case, exhausting Radford's whole board, let's see what Radford might have in hand, though. Does have 6 resources, so we could potentially see some big plays. Um, but not a great start to the turn for Radford.
No, there is a commandeer, which doesn't clear Django, but yeah, again, Symbiote's being rewarded for not damaging itself,
Yeah.
because that would have been enough. But I think now
We
that
do
it's
see
just
the
a
commandeer
6.
anyway. So
Yep.
Symbiote could send his Django into the War Juggernaut to exhaust it here. Um, I don't know
I,
that that's worth it.
no, it goes to base, and we will probably see 6 damage somewhere. Again, you have to ask
Yeah.
yourself, will is putting 6 on Django worth it? Because I'm just gonna get another mass exhaust probably to lead off next turn, because that War Juggernaut's going back to hand.
Yeah, so this War Juggernaut is going to go back to hand because there's no way to get it killed. Unless he has like a heroic sacrifice, which would be really funny, but I don't think he's playing it.
Yeah, wow. Very interesting choice here. I wonder if Symbiote read the Commandeer is an option and said, you know what, I'm not gonna damage my War Juggernaut to, or my Django for that matter, to put in lethal range either way. He said, you know what, I'm content with a 6 attack War Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are seeing the lack of greediness really pay off kind of twice here for Symbiote with these War Juggernauts.
Yeah, now Radford could just go to the base and then we would have 10 damage on both bases. The problem is what then is the answer in the event that Symbiote just replays? Well, oh, he takes the initiative. Oh,
Okay.
okay. So
Yep.
he's not going to swing with that War Juggernaut. Taking the initiative, he drew another Commandeer also.
Yeah, so
Um,
we're gonna see a surprise strike probably from Plo into Django, I think.
yeah, so that'll get Django off the board. Even if that War Juggernaut's replayed, it won't be able to exhaust.
Yeah, and he can commandeer it again actually, because he has 5 resources open. So we'll
Yeah.
see. And there's also TDR. There's plenty of options here for Symbiote. A sneak attack War Juggernaut if he wants to get spicy.
I think I see a
Um,
Devastator in hand for Symbiote as well, which is
uh,
definitely giving him some endgame potential, though I think
oh, yep, and he had just enough to do the sneak attack Devastator,
yeah.
but without the ability, he has to kill Grogu here.
Yeah, otherwise it just gets exhausted. Or he can exhaust Grogu, but he
No,
has to
Django
do
just was
something about
just
Grogu.
defeated. He
Oh, no,
he
you're right. Yeah, he's gotta put 2 damage on Grogu.
he didn't realize.
Whoa! 3
Oh
damage
no,
on
that's a
Quinlan,
huge
1
blunder.
on the base. What the heck? Grogu just exhausts it.
Wow. Wow.
Not,
That's a huge blunder.
not optimal.
And now
He lost
Kira,
9 damage to base by not killing Grogu there.
yeah, he didn't realize.
That is a lot of damage to miss.
Yeah, and again, a benefit of playing a card that people just don't play that often. Grogu has seen playing Quinlan, but it's often cut uh pretty quickly from most lists, and we're seeing it pay off for Radford here because Symbiote just not used to seeing it on the board.
Alright, now Kira, I believe, though I'm not 100% sure, I believe that Kira named the War Juggernaut
Yeah,
there.
that would make a lot of sense because it forces Symbiote to play a resource in order to afford the War Juggernaut, whereas Triple Dark Raid could be played for 6 anyway at the state we're in. So uh, we'll see what if that's the case. Wow, that's a game turning Grogu exhaust there. That's for sure. And we're seeing three cost Triple Dark Raid. So therefore, I believe the War Juggernaut was in fact named by
Yep.
Kira. Which also means it can't be
Now this
pulled off of,
does
this triple dark raid.
well, wait, no, it could still be pulled, right? It's discounted by 5?
5, but now it's 3 more, so it still costs 6 to play. Does he have 6?
No, its base cost is 6, right? So it would be 4 to play it with the discount.
Ah, sure, sure, sure.
But,
Yeah, yeah,
oh,
you're
yeah,
right.
and confirming War Juggernaut was the call, but it looks like the thing we were just discussing isn't gonna be relevant because I don't think there is a or no, maybe there is.
No,
Is
there
that a
is a
War
War Juggernaut. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
second from left.
Okay, so it would almost force him to fully tap out here, but probably is worth
Yeah,
it.
so if he plays this War Juggernaut, the base cost is 6, but it's discounted by 5, and then it's increased by 3.
Yeah.
So it would actually cost 4,
Yeah. Wow. That's a
and he does
9
go for it.
cost Juggernaut hitting the
Is
board
this gonna
here.
just get commandeered, though?
It is, and this time he's got to remember that the Django exhaust needs to go on Grogu.
Oh, yeah, if he doesn't exhaust Grogu, that might be an awkward moment.
Okay, he said, "Fool me once, shame on you." Fool me twice, shame on me. He's not gonna get fooled by that little baby this time.
Yeah, but we do have that commandeer waiting in the hand. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure this War Juggernaut's gonna get a chance to swing on Redford's base.
No, it definitely won't. But again, we're seeing a little bit of reward here by not pinging itself, so at
Yep.
least he saves the damage on his base.
That War Juggernaut once again gets turned right around. This time it is actually going to swing into the base instead of initiative just being Symbiote's base. And Kira still increasing the cost of that War Juggernaut if it were to be replayed next turn. Radford's still having 3 resources, but does not seem to have a play that he wants to make. He does have a force throw, but with Symbiote not having any units on the board, he may want to save that for a better moment.
Yeah, he might have been thinking, do I force throw you and maybe hit a Devastator again and kill the War Juggernaut so it doesn't get to bounce? But with War Juggernaut costing 9, I wouldn't be too worried about it going back to hand. Oh, I think I see another Sneak Attack Devastator actually in hand, which is powerful, but um, not as game ending as it would have been had he already had 9 more damage on the base. And there it is. Sneak attack War Juggernaut for the second time, this time killing the
Yeah,
Grogu and exhausting
sneak attack
Kira.
Devastator does some damage. Could swing in for 9. It is gonna get cleared. There is the force throw, but the force throw can't actually damage this because Grogu is off the board from that indirect damage.
Yeah, this would have been game had he realized error the first time. But unfortunately, the 9 damage is not enough to win here.
If he has a surprise strike, he has lethal. Is
Yeah,
that right? Yeah, it's 13. So a surprise strike would do 12 damage. That would be exact lethal. Does Radford have a good answer to this?
he does not.
5? No, he's just gonna bring out his Plo Koon. Is there a
Yeah, he does
surprise strike
not.
for Symbiote? There is not.
Nope. Nope. And we are seeing that now the game should technically be over if Symbiote realized that Quinlan wasn't the problem, it was Grogu.
Now, here's the weird thing. Radford is at 3 HP, so he is just out of range of a Ruthless Raider ping to close the game here.
Yep,
Now,
yep. And this Devastator is being defeated, so he won't even get to
yes, it
replay it
is.
for game, yeah.
It is gonna be outright defeated, and Radford brings out this what, Green Squadron A-Wing, initiative
Yep.
taken by Symbiote.
He drew into a Daring Raid, though, so Daring Raid plus Ruthless
Oh,
Raider
wow.
ends the game.
Symbiote finds the surprise
Yep,
strike, turn
but he
2
has a
late.
Daring Raid, we'll see if that matters.
A daring raid on the base plus a raider would win the game. Symbiote resources his surprise strike, I think, thinking that at this point the base is so low that if he gets to swing on it, he's probably won.
There's another War Juggernaut, he paid 9 for it.
9 for a War Juggernaut. This is going to be interesting. So he does get to exhaust Plo Koon, damage on the whole field. What will Radford do in response? We know there's the force throw, and this time with Plo Koon on the board, that force throw is going to be able to do some damage. Force throw hits the field. Oh, wow, it's between the Soprano alive. Now, the Daring Raid was way better for him in terms of, like, relevance to the actual game than the other War Juggernaut in hand, but it only if you discard the War Juggernaut, it would do a bunch of damage, and Kira could then actually kill the
Yep.
Juggernaut, so he discards the Daring Raid, even though it's really good in this situation, hoping that Radford doesn't have enough damage here to get the win. Radford finds enough damage with a Cassian Andor. He's going to be wait, does he have lethal?
No, it's not lethal, but it's enough to clear the War
Yeah,
Juggernaut.
yeah, yeah. So he doesn't have
Yep.
lethal, but he has the damage he needs to clear the War Juggernaut and stay alive. And he
Yep,
can
and he's
then
still able to
swing.
play Ezra.
Yeah, he can bring out Ezra, and he can swing base for 3 as well. So Radford clinging to life here thanks to that smuggle from Cassian Andor. Very, very powerful card.
Yep, and now without the Daring Raid, the Ruthless Raider is no longer lethal yet again.
Right. Yeah, because Symbiote discarded his Daring Raid, even if he finds a Ruthless Raider with this triple Dark Raid, it won't win the game. But if
But
he finds a
Devastator will.
Devastator, it would win the game.
Yeah, and I think he's only got one left in base because he did discard one on a Force Throw the first time.
Someone in
So there's
chat yells
shoot.
crate.
Yeah,
He
great.
goes he goes
And
for the triple Dark Raid.
he finds the Devastator.
Oh man, what an outcome.
Wow. The third Devastator is in the top 7 cards to end the game here. Wow.
Well,
That was a
that was a
very
very
exciting
interesting
ending.
match. We do have a Django win here on stream. Earlier we were seeing Django take some defeats, but Symbiote was able to get there. I think it's interesting. So on the one hand, I think that he did get lucky there, but on the other hand, if he had managed that first Devastator better with Grogo, he wouldn't have had to get lucky.
Yeah, for sure. Either way, though, still a nail biter. Even if he did make the correct play the first time, he still needed a sneak attack Devastator to get there. It's what's interesting is for as good as Django is, all of these have been very close.
Yeah.
The losses have been close. The wins have been close. We're not seeing these blowouts that maybe people were expecting based on the cards that the deck picked up. At the end of, there are still answers and you still have to play well. But really heartbreaking there for Radford, but big congratulations to Symbiote on taking the win despite the blunder. Uh, that I'm sure that's a big sigh of relief that didn't cost him the game in the end.
All right. Well, that was a very interesting match. We had a lot of stuff, and I think they are actually at time. So we may be back to you guys quickly with another round of Swiss here. However, it does look just based on the crowd cam like there are a few tables still playing.
Yeah, I can confirm there's at least one, to my knowledge, that is still playing out here. I think it's just one, actually. So it should wrap up pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, it might be a bunch of people crowded around one table over there.
Yeah, typically what happens as you whittle down one match is in time, everyone's able to watch out here for what's going on. Yeah. Big shout out to Titan 1K who won his round 6. I believe is 5-1 on Django Tarkentown heading into round 7.
Hey, nice. Yeah, it's another McClunky player there.
Yeah, yeah. Bringing all this stream equipment up with Claire and putting down the results here
Yeah, big
for
shout out
McClunky.
to Titanic and Claire for making this stream possible with the setup on site and Titanic also playing in the event, and as you said, doing pretty well for himself.
100%. I actually think pairings are up for round 7 already. So
Okay.
that last round got finished quite quickly in terms of the one match in time. We are have pairings. I'm really hoping we get table 1 on stream. I can see what the leaders are, and there's a very spicy set 4 leader at table 1. I'm hoping they want to appear on stream. I will say it is the other villain aggro pilot has made its way to table 1 somehow through all of this.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah, let's see. Does that mean well, we'll see. We'll see. I do think there also is some coverage from Bothan Network. So it's possible they're doing that game.
Yep.
Not entirely sure what we'll end up with. Hopefully it'll be an interesting matchup one way or another.
Yep. A Grumpy Elephant via the melee, if you can tell, is also doing well at table 2 with Quinlan ECL.
Nice.
So we have some spice at these top tables.
Yeah.
So we'll see who wants to appear on stream here. But yeah, it's definitely not all Django's in these top few tables. There's some Sabines and Han, and uh, so at least at the battle down here in Atlanta, it is not for days in the top tables. He's there, but not in the numbers in Milan apparently.
All right.
I don't wanna spoil. Phil Star asked Von Reg, right? I don't want to spoil it just in case they don't appear on stream. I don't want to let anyone down, but there is the chance for a villain pilot leader to appear on stream. See if that's the case.
And there are several villain pilot leaders out there.
There's a
You know, we
couple, yep.
have I think I've actually seen some people running the Unity of Purpose combo out of the new pilot Vader.
Yeah, Claire spoiled it for me. Yeah, Claire's been saying she's been trying to pull the Von Reg player this entire time. But yes, Von Reg is undefeated heading into the final round for Pool 1.
Sweet.
So we'll see if they finally agree to appear on stream. If not, maybe Grumpy Elephant comes on stream with Quinlan ECL. See if they have any of the heroism pilots in their updated list.
Now, in terms
There's
of the villain pilot leaders, you know, we have uh, the new Boba has actually been very popular, but I'm not sure how represented he was at this tournament and how well he's doing, if so. We
Yep,
have Von Reg, who is a much more aggro focused leader. We have
yep.
Rio Durant, who I actually think is kind of good, but I have not seen very many people playing him.
Yeah, he can be pretty annoying. I mean, he can give us a boatload of stats on 5 resources. So he's tough in a Django because he's one, unlike like a Kazuda that doesn't have an ability on the ground. So you really do want to pilot him, but if he gets exhausted, it's really rough.
Yeah. Then there's the squadron leader Vader, who I actually think is pretty cool,
Yep.
and Asajj Ventress pilot version, who I think her ability is good, but she has extremely bad stats for her flip.
All right. Unfortunately, we do not get the Von Reich, but we do get Titanic from McClunky Gaming on Django Target Town against
Yeah,
George the Hulk on Cad Bane Colossus.
two well-known players here. Let's see how this goes. Uh,
Yep.
Titanic running Django Tarkentown with the showcase Django against George the Hulk, who has the is that a CAD blue?
That is a Cad Bane Colossus. I actually like this quite a bit. I think Cad Bane Blue got quite a bit, honestly, thanks to Mist Hunter specifically, able to kind of refill that one card you're down. Um, if you played a bounty hunter or a pilot on attack, Mist Hunter is a 3-cost 3/4 that can draw you a card.
That's pretty
Pretty
good.
sticky unit. Yeah, big fan of that. Um, You get to play all your control tools and also have your leader ability able to control the board. So I think this is a mid-range control deck that actually could give Django a run for its money. We'll see if George can do that in this set here.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this goes. Could be very interesting.
George, known for playing villain control decks, obviously, pretty famous for piloting Hondo Onaka Blue to some top cut finishes as well. A leader that most people wrote off pretty immediately when Shadows of the Galaxy was released, but George found a really unique control smuggle deck that could grind away the best decks in the format back then.
Yeah, George has been a pretty innovative player in this game, and we'll see how he does it here.
Yep. There will be no bias for the biceps himself, Titanic, but we will do our best here to be unbiased, even though this stream is basically brought to you by Titanic and Claire. However,
Yeah.
no bias here.
Well, maybe some. Let's see. Yeah, Titanic can bring in a big win here on his own stream.
Yeah, it would be cool. I think this is the first time he's appeared on his own stream, maybe? Maybe second time?
No, I think I think he was there at least for some PQs like much earlier, like maybe even in like set 2 or something. But
Sure, that
I'm
could make
pretty
sense.
sure I've seen him like playing Sabine or something on stream back in the day.
Yeah, he'd played Sabine Cunning quite a bit, but I know he tries not to feature himself, but proud of him for sitting here at table 3, he would have been. So really, really well done for Tim.
Yeah, let's see if he can bring in the win.
Yeah, I think we saw a mulligan off of the Django Tarkentown deck, and George actually happy with his 5-card draw. It's our first taste of Colossus of the day. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Colossus a very interesting base. So
Oh
the
God.
upside, 35 HP. The downside, you lose a card in your opening hand, which is not just -1 card, but also represents a less reliable mulligan.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, but with no need to mulligan, that means George feels pretty strong. And Claire mentioned in the chat that every time Tim has been on stream, it was Sabine against a Bosk Blue, which not the most fun matchup, honestly.
Well, let's see how this goes. Now, unfortunately, this initial play has a lot of glare. Pasquale, did you catch what card that was?
I didn't because I think Titanic didn't have a turn one play after a mulligan, so it was a play
Titanic missed his
something
turn 1. George played
something,
a
and then drew 2
very
cards. Yeah,
brightly reflective card, whatever it may be.
yeah, that's really funny. But
Claire
yeah,
has the
definitely it
answer
was a
for us. It is a Pike Sentinel.
okay, and a very strong card for Cad Bane. Underworld 2/3 Sentinel, something you're very happy to see.
All right, let's go on to this next turn, and looks like it's going to be the gorilla soldier making an appearance. George throwing 2 indirect damage on the Pike Sentinel, 1 on the base that does ready the soldier, but is then cleared out by power of the dark side, and 2 damage. I guess Django actually used there to exhaust the Pike Sentinel, so 2 damage not being sent to Titanic
Yep,
space.
it's also nice because he gets to hold on to the target count for something a little bit better.
Yeah.
That the P38 can clear the Pike Sentinel. Yep, so you're feeling pretty good if you're Titanic, but also George not too mad at 1 damage on his 35 HP base heading into 4 resources.
Yeah.
Oof.
I think Titanic would prefer to see more damage on there at this phase in the game, but
Yeah,
hasn't quite found it yet.
yeah, and a big long pike. That's a sticky unit. 4/6 coming down that can shield itself if it needs to. by giving a shield to an opponent's unit that you don't really care about. So interesting course of events. Titanic probably pretty upset missing a turn one play into 35 HP base.
Yeah, not really what you want to see there. All right. What have we here?
Seems like a smuggle option for 5 resources. What is it? Oh, Bazine for 4.
Bazine for 4. Let's take a look at Titanic's hand. 7th Fleet Defender.
Oh my god,
Ruthless
it's
Raider. Oh,
horrible.
wow. 2 Devastators.
Look away,
That,
kids. Look away.
2 Devastators, 2 Ruthless Raiders. Man, Titanic has some heavy hitters in that hand.
Yeah, I think you let him keep it. Don't let him draw. Oh, he's gonna.
No,
He
he
is.
discards the 7th Fleet Defender, and so we do see a draw.
Is that a
Can't quite
third
see what
raider?
was drawn.
I think it's a third Ruthless Raider, but I could be
That's
lying.
crazy.
Yikes.
Cad Bane clears out the Elite P38 with
Oh,
his
it's a
king.
tie silencer actually. It's a Kylo's
Kylo's
tie.
TIE
Okay.
Silencer replaced that 7th Fleet Defender, so a bit of a downgrade for Titanic. 7th Fleet Defender would be substantially stronger here, but he
Yep.
still has a hand with some big bombs to be dropping later on in this game.
Yeah, those are cards you want in the top 7 cards, not in your hand, if we're being honest. So rough go here, especially with George fully knowing that all of Titan's cards are kind of unplayable into this matchup right now. You can play a Ruthless Raider, but then you're fully tapped out on this turn. It's really not what you want to be doing. So we'll see how the Cad Bane flip turn plays out for George
Well, I
here.
mean, I don't think Raider is terrible, especially if he can play it after Cad Bane flips, exhaust Cad on flip.
Yeah,
Uh,
the issue is you're playing into blue control, which now has no glory only results. So
oh
it's
yeah, that's a
really
really good card
bad.
against those Raiders.
Yeah, it's really bad that you have to tap out into it this early. So
We
not
could also
ideal.
just see like simple bounce effects being used against it, but at least
Exactly. Yeah,
then you get to get that when played again.
the,
Somebody asks, "What's that shiny on George's board?" I believe it's Long Pike. Is that right?
It is Lompike, and the George said that Kylo's Eye is useless, so I'm going to free hit your Django for 4. So Lompike gave a shield to itself and the silencer, and now Django has 2 HP left.
Yeah, Django may not stay on this board for very long.
No, it'll probably be cleared by the Cad Bane flip into any underworld unit, I would assume. Or just that. That'll do it. The Cloud Rider ambush and then ping the shield off of the Kylo's tie.
Cloud Rider is an interesting card. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised I don't see it more often.
Yeah, for sure. And now Cad Bane is flipped, therefore can re-trigger. And we're seeing the
And for
Raider come
2
out.
damage this time.
Yeah, we're seeing the Raider come out that we had mentioned. This. So, but at with spending 2 resources, he does not have access to no glory only results because that costs 5.
Yep.
So we'll see what else George is doing. Is another Bazine. He's looking in his resource row.
With Django cleared, this Raider does not get to exhaust Cad Bane.
It's a relentless pursuit to capture the Ruthless Raider, which is brutal.
Ooh, that is spicy, and I believe that's going to be a shield as well.
Yep. Relentless Pursuit's a 4-cost event that lets you capture a unit that costs equal to or less than the unit you're targeting on your side of the board. Therefore, Cad Bane, being a 6-cost deploy, can capture the Raider and shield it because the target you are capturing under is a bounty hunter.
We were talking earlier about how the Cad Bane unit from set 3 had kind of made bounty or made capture real. Relentless Pursuit was like the one capture card that saw substantial play in set 3, although even then it was often kind of a sideboard sort of option.
Yeah, the shield is really nice, which is why it's a decent removal tool. So there's definitely a reason why it's played, but like you said, fell out of favor pretty quickly, at least in the main deck of most lists. But seeing a return here, in this list here.
All right.
It's a 3
That
cost
is,
actually. I think it was 4
now
cost.
we know from that earlier Bazine that Titanic has some other power plays to make, but dealing with that Cad Bane might prove pretty awkward. He has a lot of HP and he has a shield.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem. If George is able to now smack like a hot shot blaster on it, you've got this shielded thing with so much power. Um,
Here's a kind of silly route to kill him. In principle, I believe if Titanic gets to play both of his Devastators, indirect damage goes through shields.
that is true, and he gets to assign it. We just need to make it that far
Yeah,
for him. But
it might be a little end game, and you'd sort of hope that you could deal with that CAD before then, but it is something that exists.
yeah, and we see that Titanic is mulling over the triple dark raid, and honestly, what feels really bad right now is you've drawn so much top end that your triple dark raid is more likely to hit something smaller
Yeah,
now.
though I'm not sure that we've
Um,
seen any War Juggernauts yet. However,
right.
the War Juggernaut isn't amazing in this board state, but would still at least be able to clear the shield from CAD.
Yep, and we're seeing that 6 HP on Lompike be super annoying, because now a second raider can't kill it. But oh god,
What have we here?
Cad Bane unit comes down, capturing the Ruthless Raider with the 2 damage ping, now wiping Kylo's TIE
Ouch.
Silencer.
Yeah, it looks like yeah, George is pretty in control here, but the awkward thing about capture is that if Titanic can manage to clear these units, he will get the captured units back. The question is just, does he have a way to actually do that?
Yeah, unsure if he does, and with Cad Bane unit on attack, is it worth giving the control deck more cards to get back a raider that won't trigger its when played?
Probably
Uh,
not, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah, exactly. Where he's in a tough spot. Oh, that
Like
was
maybe you would do it if the
yeah.
opponent was really, really low, but in this state, I would rather not give him the cards.
Yep, and we can see from his hand that Titanic has held on to both Devastators that were revealed earlier. Um,
Yeah, with the Raiders getting captured, the Devastators maybe his plan here.
yep, I think obviously if you're Titanic, you're hoping to find a sneak attack by now so that they could be a little cheaper. But unable to do that, and therefore is able to just play a Raider, deal 1 to Lam Pike, 1 to Cad Bane, 2 to the base, and now you've got a big threat on board. But Cad Bane has all of their resources, so a hard moment to tap out in. We'll see if George has an answer to it, though.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
jetpack.
I'd rather be on George's side of the table than Titanic's at this point.
Yep, and with a jetpack, that is a massive Cad Bane. A second shield for the one temporary hits the board, and a Long Pike for good measure. Or a Pike Sentinel, sorry. Pike Sentinel for good measure. Swing,
Lots of stuff hitting the field here for George.
yeah, swings in for 6 thanks to the +2 off a jetpack. Not seeing a power, but was there a takedown? There was no takedown either. No good to me dead. I think yeah, there's a no oh yeah, no good to me dead on the Devastator, so it can't even
Yeah, not
ready.
great.
Yep. The no good to me dead, that happened pretty quickly at the end of the turn there, so not able to get in the 9 damage. Which would have been nice, but you know, George is only at 16. He still has 19 left,
That is
thanks to
the power
Colossus.
of that 35 HP base. Titanic, against a 25 HP base, we would be, we would be in kind of the danger zone, but at a 35 HP base, George still has an ample ways to go before he has to really start sweating here.
Yep, that the triple dark rated Titanic's hand represents lethal against mirror match or something else, but here, it's not really doing what you want it to do.
Not yet, at least.
Yep, yep. He's got to buy some more time here. But he's at 14 himself, and I believe there is a lethal available for George if there's no answers. Triple dark raid.
Not looking great for Titanic.
Nope. And you've got to hope for. You're really hoping for a War Juggernaut here. You have to exhaust the Cad Bane unit. You cannot let the 7 damage get into your base. And War Juggernaut, I think, represents your best option at damage yourself. And I think he did reveal one. But
Yeah, and there we
the
go
Pike
with the War
Sentinel is just
Juggernaut.
super annoying, though. You
Yeah,
can't even.
can't even get
This
to the base.
little rat in the way.
Yeah, not the scariest Sentinel, not very good against overwhelm units necessarily, but War Juggernaut doesn't have overwhelm, so does
Yeah.
prevent that damage from getting to the base.
All right. We see the shield wiped off, the Cad Bane exhausted, the Pike Sentinel takes a damage and goes 2 to base. Yeah, Target Towns is available, but still annoying that you got to waste it on this Pike Sentinel.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I had forgotten he had not used Tarkentown earlier in this game.
Yeah, but then you also lower your damage by 1. It's still not where you want to be this late in the game, unfortunately. But he drew so poorly. I can only empathize with the hand that we
Yeah,
saw off of that Bazine.
I mean he had some very valuable cards in hand, but it's awkward in a deck that often wants those cards to be found via triple dark raid instead.
Yep, yep, and no sneak attacks to be found for Titanic. So he is waylaid too. Yeah, he's got answers. It's just the issue is 19 left is the answer here. Versus what is he at? 16 versus 9. So it's a long way to go against a deck that also runs tons of control options. Boba Pilot
Okay.
on the Devastator gets to ping 1, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's so Boba Pilot, I believe, gets to do 1 ping damage when played, and
It's yeah,
2 if it's played on a transport.
yeah, of which Devastator is not.
No, it's a capital ship.
So Cad Bane into the base for 7. 22, 3 left for Titanic. The good news is I don't think George has any burn, so that's the one saving grace here.
Yeah, not really something those colors are known for. There are a few damage-based removal cards in Cunning, but they're also luck-based.
Yep, yeah, and indirect damage now Yellow has access to, but there's plenty of HP to go around for that to avoid the base. But 3 resources remaining. I don't see a way out of this for Titanic because the CAD leader is just enormous.
Yeah, if he could clear that CAD leader, things might be different, but that's a big if.
Yep. Yeah, and he's got to take initiative. You know what I mean? There's so many. He's got to clear 2 units and take initiative. It's a lot to ask, or clear all 3, and I don't see a way for that to happen. He can clear 2 with the waylay of the Tarkin town, but that doesn't leave him in a place to kill the CAD with 8 HP.
That is one of the That is one of the things about capture. If capturing something is so favorable that the opponent isn't going to end up in a spot where they can actually clear your unit, one of its downsides is highly mitigated.
Yeah, and we're seeing the scoop because there's too many threats, and I don't even. I think George had all of his resources open as well, so more threats are gonna. The waylays doesn't even do anything really; it just replays the card. So Tough spot.
tough one for Titanic. Let's see if
Yep.
he can get the comeback and take the win here, moving into game 2 and give us a game 3 on stream.
Yeah, for sure. I think George might have read the meta really well, choosing to play Cad Bane, Colossus, because Django's going to inevitably struggle into these mid-range control strategies a little bit. You add on the 5 HP, the ability to play no glory only results, and Cad Bane also is one of the few kind of control options that actually plays really well into aggro too, because of all the incidental ping damage and ability to clear that way. So this might have been a really smart call instead of taking something like Piet, where we've already seen, can
It
struggle
is
into aggro.
Piet is extremely weak against ground-based aggro. He has this sort of weird thing where if it's a space-based aggro deck, he has some good options. That Fleet Interdictor, for instance, is very strong against space-based aggro builds. But when you end up against like someone who's playing an old-style Sabine build, Piet is not really where you want to be.
No,
At least in
exactly,
my
but
experience.
Cad Bane can handle either arena thanks to the pinging, thanks to the capture, thanks to the new Sentinel, the contracted jump master. A lot of
Yeah.
interesting choices you can make.
CAD's
I
options
think I
in
even
Sabine
saw
are a lot better in my view.
Yeah, I think I even saw while George was looking through his resource row, a really interesting card that I don't think I've seen played at all. Smuggler Starfighter, I believe. I just had to look it up because I remembered what it was, but couldn't remember the exact name. A 3-cost 2/2 Underworld space unit that, when played, if you control another Underworld unit, you get to give an enemy unit -3/-0 with a
Oh,
smuggle
yeah.
cost of 4.
I think I remember
Um,
that one from Limited.
Yeah, I don't think it's seen any construction play, but I'm almost positive I saw that in the resource row.
Well,
So
George
that's a
is
really
well known for
interesting choice.
his smuggle tactics. He's the one who was running that it was the old Hondo Onaka deck.
Yeah, yeah, playing all sorts of cards people thought were terrible, like the Starfighter, the 2-cost 2/2 that you can smuggle in for 3, but Hondo makes it a 3/3,
Oh,
so
is
it's
that
not so
was that
bad.
collection Starhopper?
Yeah, Collection Starhopper. Yeah, that deck featured all sorts of quote unquote bad cards, but George made it work to many top cut finishes.
Yeah.
And
Now,
we're seeing it
to
here.
be fair, I do think those cards were actually pretty bad in some cases, but but sometimes if you have a bad card that has good synergies, it can be worth it.
Yeah, yeah.
And Hondo was a lot of nice synergy there for the
Yep.
smuggle cards in that build.
Yeah. Hondo definitely was able to, for lack of a better term, put lipstick on a pig, if you will, and make
Yeah.
some really ugly cards of quite strong. And some good cards like Lom Pike even better.
Oh yeah.
So
And
we'll see. Again, we're seeing George not have to mulligan with Colossus. So clearly has built his deck in a way that he's pretty happy.
that's a comfy
Drawing
spot to
5
be in.
cards. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's pretty impressive. To see no mulligans back to back, drawing just 5 cards. I wonder what the delay is here. Seems like they're chatting about something. And it looks like, is that so we're seeing another mulligan, I think, from Titanic.
A little awkward. The player only drawing 5 cards has seemingly had stronger hands than the one drawing 6. But we'll
Yeah,
see whether Titanic can get a better mulligan this time. If I recall correctly, he did miss his turn 1 play last time, which is really not where you want to be,
yep. Yeah, missing your
especially
turn
in a
one play,
matchup like
drawing
this.
double Devastator, double Ruthless Raider is really bad. I can't imagine, honestly, a worse hand after a mulligan. So, fingers crossed, there's a playable hand in here for him this time. Oh, God. I see 2 Ruthless Raiders in his hand again.
Once again, we're going to be seeing some Raiders from hand this game.
And no turn one play.
Wow,
No turn
rip
one
it.
play. Wow. He got us. So it's 7th Fleet Defender,
Titanic with
P-38,
some
triple dark
unfortunate luck
raid.
here on his own stream.
Yeah, sneak attack. He has the sneak attack raider, which is very strong,
That's a good
but
play.
on yeah, has to wait a couple turns for that though. But
Missing your
really
turn 1
brutal,
against control twice in a row is pretty unfortunate, though.
really brutal, and it's a Pike Sentinel again. So
Awkward.
oof. All right, he needs two strong cards here. Two strong cards here. If it's two Devastators, turn the stream off. No, I'm kidding. Look
It
away.
would at least be kinda funny, but that's definitely not an optimal scenario, to say
Yeah.
the
Okay. We have
least.
a no good to be dead picked up, and I think we're seeing okay. 7th Fleet Defender. There's two triple dark rays in his hand, so could be worse. Just not a little too early for it though. Okay. Contracted Jump Master hits the field, so another Sentinel pings off
No
the shield.
Sentinel.
Yeah, we are.
Sentinel on the ground, Sentinel in space.
Yep. And again, annoying stat line. Django's got a trade and then Tarkentown. Not really what you want to be doing. Um,
No, so it is possible that we could see, he might be able to put something together that would be a little more efficient. Like maybe he can, bring out an elite P-38 starfighter or something.
yeah, he did resource one. So he would have to draw into a second one.
Yeah.
So it could have been a bit of a mistake not thinking about the contracted star, a jump master rather. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's a card that's not so like it doesn't do something really splashy. It's not like it doesn't have really novel text, but it just has some fairly efficient stats against at least some units.
Yeah, and it's new, so it's always not top of mind. It just came out, so
Yeah, there can be an advantage for just having stuff your opponent may not have been that familiar with. Now, one of the downsides of that is it's not like a reliable it's not like a reliable sustainable advantage. But especially early in a set, you can take some people by surprise, or maybe you're using some things that are well known, but some that are instance. I think CAD Tarkentown, people probably have a fair number of reps against that. That's a pretty well known deck. But against the CAD Blue 35, or for that matter, against the McClunky Gaming, CAD Green 30, people are not going to have as much experience into it, at least at this phase.
yeah. Yep, and Titanic obviously being on McClunky probably has reps into the CAD green, but again might not be well versed into the CAD blue, especially Colossus. Requires a different level of thinking. That extra 5 HP really puts off the math of your deck a little bit.
Mm.
There it is, exactly what I mentioned. That's the Smuggler's Starfighter for 3, giving the War Juggernaut -3 attack because he controls another underworld unit. So effectively saying it doesn't do anything.
That's handy.
Yeah, now he can deal 1-0. No, if he Tarkin Towns the Pike Sentinel, that's a 0 attack War Juggernaut.
Now, I believe that unlike the similar effect on Malevolence, the unit is still allowed to attack. It's just not going to do any damage here, so it's not very relevant.
Yeah.
But in some cases, you might still be able to get a relevant on attack ability or some restore value or something. Just not that's not what we're going to see here.
Yeah, it's essentially a disarm if you're familiar with the vent from Spark of Rebellion, give a unit -4.
Yeah,
Able to attack, but basically, blanks the card for the turn in terms of damage output, which is a really cool tech against yeah, like Ruthless Raider and War Juggernaut in this matchup specifically. I'm sure that's why it's in here because
yeah.
it can be
Sometimes it
smuggled
can
out.
set up a scenario where you then get to send your own units into a unit, especially one that's like going to be there more permanently. So if you just use this against a TDR or something, you're probably fine
Oh
with
man, he
them.
had to dry
Um,
deploy Django with no protection and gets hit with Power of the Dark Side.
that's brutal. That's an old style play. The power of the dark side on someone's leader flip is something that I think people have often been able to avoid with more knowledgeable play, but In this sort of situation, sometimes you just haven't been able to make stuff stick, especially if you miss your turn one. And Power of the Dark Side on the leader is still has some validity.
Yeah, and now we are seeing the side decked electromagnetic pulse come in from jump to light speed, deal 2 damage to a vehicle or droid, and exhaust it. So he gets to kind of again make the Ruthless Raider fairly useless. Um, yeah, definitely frustrating draws here for Titanic. We're seeing a little bit of a exasperation, kind of hands in the air, like what else can I do here? You've got the answers, and I'm drawing all my top end early on.
Yeah, a lot of disruption type effects being used here. Really causing some trouble here for our man Titanic.
Yep. Yep, we're seeing no TY Fabes, George needs to put the 4 damage on. Electromagnetic Pulse actually exhausted the Ruthless Raider. It did not get to attack the base. So that's why George did not put the 4 damage on because there was
Yeah,
no
it
damage done.
didn't go on.
This seems like a really well constructed anti-Django Cad Bane Colossus deck. Uh
Django is the deck to beat, and one of the problems with playing the deck to beat is that a lot of people are planning to beat you. So
Yep. Well, Sage Leader exhausting both TDR targets is pretty brutal. The other one wasn't exhausted. The Smuggler Starfighter just made its attack 0.
yeah.
Um, so
Or it was
interesting.
one, and if the Sentinel was removed, it was going to become 0.
Yeah, exactly. So essentially 0. A really interesting tech that's common from Shadows of the Galaxy that I think has seen 0 play can be smuggled in to answer a triple dark raid. Is very cool.
Yeah.
Another okay. We're seeing Ruthless Raider hit the board. 2 damage to the base. Now the question is are we going to see our first no glory only results here?
Could be. Very strong
Uh,
into a raider, takes that when defeated effect, and you get to use it instead of the opponent. Kind of a
yeah,
nasty surprise.
yeah. We're seeing the Lom Pike come out from the resource row, and then Cad Bane trigger 2 damage to the Ruthless Raider. Uh, Chat is saying Smuggler Starfighter is mostly because of Colossus, and he doesn't want to lose on discard. Sure. Yeah, you want to play more smuggle cards when you are down a card in your hand, but it's still a card I think most people would have overlooked in constructing their deck, but is very effective in
I
this
wonder if
particular
we're
matchup.
seeing some of the benefits of George's experience playing with all those smuggle cards when he was running that Hondo build. Might have given him some ideas of ways that these cards could be effective, even the ones that were maybe neglected a bit by most players.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout there. That's probably exactly what it is. He's just familiar with the card pool in a different way. Has really gone through all of the commons and found some niche uses for them.
Now, I don't claim to speak for George, but I was mentioning earlier that I'm not going to be super thrilled to see Smuggle rotate out, as I quite like that mechanic. And my suspicion is that George would be with me on that, since he is sort of known for using Smuggle in some unorthodox but effective ways.
Yep. Yeah, I think George is gonna flounder. No, I'm kidding. He's gonna
I
not know what to do
bet
with
I bet
himself.
he'll adapt.
Yeah, he will. All right, we're seeing the contracted Starhopper here come into play, deal 2 damage to another Ruthless Raider, and kind of shoring up the Space Marine for now.
Yeah, lot of obstacles that George has been throwing in Titanic's way. Now, two Ruthless
Yeah, this
Raiders on
is
the field, that's not exactly a field devoid of value for for Titanic.
yep.
Looks like
He
he thought that was going to be defeated, but it's actually not.
yeah he split up the damage on his own Raider, so he could have stacked it and done that, but unfortunately split up the damage. Maybe he thought it was a 4-2 instead of a 2-4.
Yeah, I mean, on the other hand, this does mean that he has both those units still on the board to potentially push damage later, but we'll see what George has in response.
Mm-hmm. Miles
Someone in
Ross.
chat pointed out smuggle seems like a mechanic that is easy to make evergreen if in a Star Wars game. And I would appreciate seeing some more smuggle stuff. If they want to make smuggle an evergreen mechanic, that is a-okay with me. But who's to say?
Yeah, I agree with the sentiment, but I feel like FFG has kind of expressed that they weren't. I don't know. They didn't love the way it played out on the table with terms of like competitive integrity and stuff. Hopefully, our player base has shown them that it works, and we are honest people, and they can still print smuggle cards. But I do understand the fear of it being potentially a tricky mechanic to make use of in most situations.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I am a I am a fan of the like versatility that it gives. This is actually something that we've also seen with the new piloting mechanic. Um, the ability of smuggle and piloting to create these cards that have like different modes and like you have to think about which way you want to play them. I think that's a pretty positive and desirable trait for the game.
Yep. I completely agree. We're seeing the last resource come down for ISB agent, pinging the CAD one more time, or pinging, I think that's a unit actually, one more time, the Long Pike. And we got a glimpse of Titan's hand there. It's the third raider is in hand. So unable to get a triple dark raid for a raider for the rest of the game. He drew them all. One was
Wow.
bounced back to his own hand after the triple dark raid, but he drew two, so they are no longer available out of the deck.
Very interesting.
And
Sometimes that's what the deck gives you now. ISB.
right, we see a Devastator played out, dealing 3 damage to finish off the Long Pike, and the fourth onto the Cadbing Leader and exhausting it. So that is very nice.
That's a very nice little play. Now, what's the upgrade on CAD there?
It's a Jetpack.
Okay.
So Jetpack was played last turn. The shield obviously largely irrelevant, but the 2 damage added to the attack is quite strong.
Something with a lot of glare played there. CAD's ability, I think, kills that raider. 2 damage to the unit. Claire says it's Lom Pike that
Yeah, I was about to
just hit the field.
say, based on the resource exhausted, I was going to assume it was a Long Pike.
Yeah, so two to the Lom Pike, 2 to the base from that raider. Still another ready raider and ISB agent on the field for Titanic, but his base is taking some major damage. There is only 9 left on Titanic's base, whereas George the Hulk has far more.
Oh, yeah, I think it actually is the Judge Snoke, actually.
Judge Snoke?
Yeah, it looks like a black border.
I don't know. Claire's actually there. Oh no. Okay. So
No, it is.
so
Yeah,
Claire says it is Snoke.
yeah.
Okay.
So
So
the
I guess
minus two killed the raider. That's what happened.
okay. Well, that puts that I mean that puts Titanic in a very awkward position.
Yeah, definitely not strong here. Raider's not really worth attacking with at this point. You need to be able to clear that Supreme Leader Snoke.
Yeah, I mean swinging for 2 with that Raider doesn't really seem optimal. I think you might just take the initiative, but I'm not sure what answers he has.
Yeah.
Is
He
he
hasn't
playing
used
planetary
Tarkin Town.
bombardment?
No, I think Tarkin Town's an option, but he's got to get one more damage on Snoke.
Yeah, and the ISB would swing for 0 here. Do you
Yeah,
do you know if
that's.
he's playing planetary bombardment? I think often the Django decks actually don't play it, even though they are running Devastator.
I can let you know it is not in the 60.
Yeah. So
No.
that is not an option, even though it would be amazing here.
Yeah, yeah. He needed to kind of have the Daring Raid last turn plus Tarkin Town. So without that, it does look
I
like
think
this is probably the end here. I mean,
I
he's
think
got another
George may be able to
Devastator,
get the
but
win this turn.
yeah, he could Devastator again. blanking the one and then kind of doing the same thing, exhausting. And but it's not. It just kind of feels like delaying inevitability here.
Yeah, I think unfortunately I do think that Titanic is in trouble here.
Yep. Hi Funko, thanks for subscribing with Prime. And a reminder to everyone, you can use your Prime to avoid ads. That's correct. And like Claire mentioned, the games have been so tight that we haven't been able to kind of take a break to run some ads. But this is the final round of Swiss, so we'll have a nice ad break after this, I'm sure.
Yeah, hopefully get things a little more clear for that top cut.
Yep. So mulling it over here, I'm sure the decision that he's trying to figure out is it worth kind of blanking my Devastator to live another turn? I don't know if he has another way to exhaust either unit.
So if he plays the Devastator, he loses the one that's already on the board, which is definitely not what you want. But he could then put the damage from the when played effect to clear out Snoke.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
exactly.
still taking a bunch of damage from CAD, though. I don't know. It's not a good situation.
Yeah, it's a rough spot because he wasn't able to get that third point on Snoke for Tarkentown. Alpha Charlie, what's Titanic record going to round 7? I believe they are 5-1. So would finish X2, 5-2, still pretty strong.
Yeah, might be in the tiebreaker land there. Not sure.
Yeah, and you do feel pretty good with being at like table in the top 2 or 3 tables with good tiebreakers. You would hope, but yeah, it's gonna be
This might be a rare situation where it would actually be optimal to ID this.
yeah. But seems like George is just
Not that you're allowed to ID at this point in the game.
yeah. There have been some intentional draws already, though. Yeah, Claire's confirming that makes sense. But they decided to play this one out. So and it looks like George is in full control. So we're seeing a War
Oh, hey.
Juggernaut.
War Juggernaut. That's a much better answer, I think, to Snoke. So the War Juggernaut is going to allow either Snoke or Cad to be exhausted, and it's that crucial third point of damage, which now means that Tarkentown is in position to clear out Snoke, and it
Yeah,
doesn't involve Titanic losing his Devastator. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how he's going to deal with this Cad.
yeah. Nothing this turn. He gets to save 1 point of damage by choosing the leader to exhaust. Still going to take 6 from the Snoke before Tarkentown wipes it. But yeah. With again the 35 HP base, it doesn't really matter that George potentially has 14 damage on the board. With the Devastator, the Ruthless Raider, and the ISB, it's so much health on George's base.
Yeah.
And exactly what we yeah, Snoke swings in for 6, putting Titanic at 21, 2, 2, 22 on the base with 3 HP left. Tarkentown can clear the Snoke, and then where do
Yeah,
you
but
go from there?
what is he gonna do about Cad? I'm not sure. Well, I mean, he has various things that could exhaust Cad next turn if he gets the initiative, but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it could just be as simple as Tarkentown. You Tarkentown my Snoke, I claim and win.
Yeah. Now let's see here. Player's thinking something over, not sure what.
Yeah, Claire mentions that because of the IDs that might have occurred this round, a lot of the X2s, which Titanic would be, might get just pushed out regardless of his good tiebreakers. But we're seeing a Cloud Rider come into play. Wonder where that ambush is going to go. Oh, so Titanic had to claim. He just claimed, and now George is spamming the board with units. No ambush.
Yeah.
Cloud Rider, the Starfighter we saw earlier, also comes out of the Smuggle Row, presenting lethal on all fronts here,
I don't
and the
really see a
covert
way out
strength.
here for Titanic unless he is running that planetary bombardment, and you said he was not. So
Yeah, and the covert strength on top of it, giving the Starhopper that 3 attack needed to win as well. So there's tons of units to end the game here.
George really is big on that smuggle stuff.
Yeah, yeah, we're seeing in full force here. Yeah, Claire confirmed the no ambush, but yeah, just put out two more three attackers, three attack units to push lethal in either arena. Yeah, that space unit looks like it's the difference maker here because he seems like Titanic has that shadowed hover tank, that 5/3 Sentinel we had seen earlier from another Django player in his hand. So he has a Sentinel for the ground arena, but cannot stop the 3 attack in space thanks to the covert strength.
It's been a tough
Yep.
one for Titanic. Missing your turn one play 2 games in a row against a control deck is really not where you want to be.
Yeah, and basically opening double Ruthless Raider both games, just brutal. Um, Game one obviously also had a double Devastator by turn 5 as well, so really rough draws here. Definitely
Yeah, you might like
frustrating.
to draw those later in the game, but this early
Yeah.
is pretty weird.
Yeah, or not at all. Let them come out off a triple dark raid, you know what I'm saying? So, after such a strong performance, this is definitely a frustrating final round for George, and I assume it's over here. Yeah, I think he's scooped in there just discussing the the match, and
Yeah, we'll see. I do think it's a
yeah,
and
he's
it
explaining.
is
Yeah,
another defeat for Django on stream, I believe.
yeah, yeah.
Despite the crazy results that he may be putting up in Milan, Django does not seem to be faring as well, at least on stream here in the US. I think we've had what, 4 Django matches, and Django's been defeated in 3 out of 4.
Yeah, we saw. I mean, we did again. We saw the like we were mentioning Django or Django counter, and we know these blue villain controls are your best bet. And we saw Piet take him down. We've seen now Cat Blue take him down. He did take the win over Quinlan, just but very nail bitingly close. And then what was
Yesterday,
the
we
other?
saw Rebel Resource say that he hopes to see all Djangos when
Yeah,
he's playing his Sabine build.
yep. Sabine Cunning ran it over in record time. So really, really unfortunate for Tim there. But congratulations to George on what I would say is a extremely innovative build there, probably constructed for this event specifically, knowing that it was going to be high level players probably playing the alleged best deck in Django, and he constructed a really well thought out answer in Cad Bane Colossus. And we did see the major Von Reg intentionally drove, so that might have been a factor in it as to why they didn't appear on stream. So that should push Von Reg into the top cut, I would assume, which is exciting to see that
Yeah, I
hopefully
mean, if
later.
he was undefeated going into this, I think he made it even if he had lost. So, there's sort of the why even play this type
Yeah, he has
situation.
one loss, so he's one draw, one loss, which
Oh,
might.
I thought someone had said he was undefeated earlier.
Yeah, he was at table one, but I actually don't know if there's many undefeateds at this point. Maybe just his opponent was undefeated.
Hmm.
Um, which was also he was up against a Crusher from McClunky Gaming. But I would assume a lot of these one loss, one draw players will do well to potentially get a top cut. But yeah, good on the Von Reg yellow taking going all the way X11.
Yeah.
Shout out to Crispy. He's a well-known Fennec Tarkentown player.
Yeah, another kind of an odd deck in some ways, but one that he and some others were able to get some nice results with. I think Fennec's an interesting case. I think probably one of the worst leader units in the game, but with a really strong ability on the leader side. Kind of an interesting balance there.
Yeah. Yeah, as, someone who has to deal with that deck constantly at locals, thanks to, the other player who played it to a top finish, at was it Red Seal Gaming? If if that Fennec unit, despite the weak stats, sticks on the board, that free ambush is really frustrating to deal with.
Oh yeah.
And just so the chat's aware, we might be moving the stream in between, uh, s- kind of setting up here for the next pool. So we might have to take a little bit of a break, but we'll keep you updated on that.
Yeah, and thank you for tuning in here at McClunky Gaming. We are bringing you some coverage here of the Bothan Network Invitational event. Kind of an unofficial fan run tournament, but they have some nice prizes. I think there is a 6K cash prize pool at this tournament. So that's pretty exciting. Now, what do you think, Pasquale? What's your opinion on cash prizes in tournaments?
I mean, I'm a fan, I think, of the idea of cash prizes. I understand like the trickiness of trying to work them in as a company, but I do think, when you attend these events, like it is really, nice that they try to create these really memorable experiences and really cool promos. But some of these events where they give out like more cards and stuff like that, like box sealed products and all sorts of stuff like that, if we're attending these events, chances are pretty high we have most of the things we want or have everything at that point to make sure we can create the most competitive decks. So I think leaning into these cash prizes is just better for players who are attending these large events anyway.
Yeah, I personally think cash prizes are a pretty good idea. I was I was a bit disappointed to see Fantasy Flight not offering those themselves. I know that they had declared cash prizes for Keyforge in the past, but I'm not sure if they were actually implemented because of the COVID situation. There was a big tournament circuit for that game that ended up being announced at an awkward time. I do think it would be a good idea, especially because there are competing games that do offer that, and I think it can be a nice incentive for to attend tournaments, especially once you get to the type of event that you might have to be paying for flight and hotel and so on.
Yeah, it was definitely
The
nice that they're offering at least the accommodations for the sectors and regional top
Yeah.
finishers. But because like you said, of their willingness to consider it for Keyforge, I have a sneaking suspicion uh, the decision may be in the hands of the mouse, if you know what I'm talking about when it
Yeah,
comes
that's
to
possible. We
when it
could
comes to cash
also
prizes in Star Wars.
we could also see it being something that they would perhaps bring out, but only once we're past season 0. So
Yeah,
hard to
at
say
least for
what
the
exactly will
Galactics
happen.
would be cool to have a nice, you know, cool like
Yeah,
big culmination
yeah,
of
yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm not saying this is something that should be happening even at like the PQ level. I think it wouldn't really make sense. I think like regional sectors galactics are like the place where that might make sense as something to implement. But we'll have to see what they do.
Yeah, for sure. I think again, FFG doing really cool promos for PQs, I think is perfectly fine. But I think at this point, also kind of barring stores from doing cash prizes for their PQs is also an interesting decision that I think may not be fully FFGs. It's hard to know with all the legality of a well known IP what the ins and outs of that are. But maybe, like you said, maybe moving forward, things can adjust as they realize they have to compete with these other games that are offering that, and that's really an enticing thing to get into other games for. So hopefully, this is an
Yeah.
interesting discussion moving forward on
You know,
pricing.
I think Mad MTG well known for that, although their current situation isn't that great or whatever on the Pro Tour, but I believe there is still cash prizing there. I know Flesh and Blood has substantial cash prizing.
Yep.
Um, interesting to see where they end up going with that stuff.
100%. And there are, for instance, I'm pretty sure Yu-Gi-Oh has adjusted pricing to be better, but still doesn't offer cash pricing. So there
Yeah.
are successful games that don't, but it is
Right.
becoming the norm in the 2025 that most games are trying to push for that because it's like we've established, it's a little just more appealing. And again, most players at these high-level tournaments don't need more cards. So
Yeah, I do think that I do think that cards can be good prizes. I think in particular, good promo cards can be good prizes more than just sealed product. But there are some issues with promo cards in terms of just can you successfully predict cards that are going to be good? And there was, I think, some controversy with that earlier, where there were some events where in this game where the promo cards were simply cards that didn't see competitive play, and that's
yeah,
not as exciting as a prize, generally speaking.
yeah, and I honestly had said since day one that I was assuming the prize for GC would actually be Vader Luke showcases. So
Oh
I'm
yeah,
I'm
I
pleasantly
was expecting that
surprised.
myself.
Yeah, I'm surprised with the way they're doing it. I really like the way they handled that. But I thought they were saving them as prizes for the Galactic. So it's kind of cool that you can earn them this way through the prize wall or through Top Gun finishes. But that was my first. I'm like, that's a promo that people would go crazy for,
Oh
showcases
yeah.
for those leaders.
I think
So
they might still go crazy for it, even with it being more accessible. I actually, I actually quite like. I think they have a very interesting system with the like. As long as you make top 64, if you're the top finisher with a leader, you get that showcase. I think that's a cool system that can I think it will lead to some variety, and I think also lead, if someone has a character that they really like or a specific deck that they're really big on, but they don't know whether or not it's going to have what it takes to like win the whole thing. Um I think it's pretty cool that they could have kind of that other prize potentially to be playing for. And so I think that's an area where I hadn't thought of that as a potential prizing option, and I think it's pretty cool.
yeah, super neat. As you can see in the chat, Claire has mentioned that we're going to close the stream for about 20 minutes so that they can move the setup closer to kind of the Ethernet internet situation. This way, we ensure that we have no hiccups for the rest of the day. We did have some issues yesterday. Honestly, I've had a great stream today, but just want to make sure that we don't have any issues because we're going to be here streaming another 7 rounds of Swiss today for Pool 2.
Should be exciting. We got a lot more gameplay to come soon. And then I believe we're gonna have some Top Cut games tomorrow as well. So lots more coverage to come from the Bothan Network Invitational.
Yep. So we'll see you in about 20 minutes. I'm Pasquale here with Tower Number 9 and for McClunky Gaming.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you guys soon.